trust is broken. Darker path is chosen. The Night Wolf has returned.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Betrayed and Went to 7 Deadly Sins with Xenovia movie. Before we start, please go support Josu Sickle 5 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei is betrayed by his girls except for Xenovia, since she truly loves him, but the inevitable betrayal will happen for these two demons, while in the world of Akame ga Kill death will be inevitable for Tatsumi and Akame, but fate will smile on these assassins and demons, since they will fall into an unknown world where they will have to protect it, but they will not do it alone. Clarifications of history. 1. The search for the 7 deadly sins will not be as long as in the anime. All the deadly sins will be found as in the original story except for Escanor, since he will be found by Merlin. 2. Diane will not lose her memories like in the anime, but she will remember the promise that King made to her. 3. Elaine will revive but at some point in the story. 4. The liberation of the 10 Commandments will happen just before Elizabeth is kidnapped and just before the final battle against the Holy Knights begins. 5. Meliodas and Elizabeth's curse will be destroyed, but that will happen when they least expect it. 6. Issei will no longer be a pervert as he always is, you will see why. 7. Tatsumi will be able to use the evolved raid armor, but he will only use it in very dangerous situations. 8. Akame will be able to use Murasame poison whenever she wants and will also be able to activate her trump card. Author's note. I think that's what Akame did in her battle against Descendant. 9. Xenovia will be able to use the maximum power of her Durandal sword. And finally number 10. Rias won't betray Issei, but you'll see what happens to her. Prologue chapter. Something I forgot to mention is that Meliodas didn't sell his sacred treasure to make his tavern. Well, now let this story begin. Prologue. This story would begin after the great battle against the Dragon 666 known as Trihexa, but thanks to Issei Hyodo the Sekiryuutei joined his rival Vali Lucifer. The Hikoriku managed to kill the Trihexa and save the supernatural world, but unfortunately Issei would fall into a coma due to the great wear of magic, and in that 3 months would pass where Issei had been in a coma, but something would happen, and that is that the girls who loved Issei did not visit him, except for a red-haired girl and a blue-haired girl with green locks who always visited the brown-haired but not always, since Rias did not have much time to visit him since she always had to be aware of the Gremory clan and also could not leave her studies, but even so in her free time, she would go to visit her beloved brown-haired. For her part, Xenovia always had free time to visit Issei, well she always asked for him to wake up. Current events. Hospital del Territorio Citri. In the room where Issei was, he suddenly opened his eyes and then sat up in bed while rubbing his eyes. Issei. Ah, what happened where I am? It looks like a hospital room. Hey Drake, are you there? Suddenly a red gauntlet and an emerald gem in the center would appear on the brown-haired boy's arm. Drake. Yes, partner, I'm here, obviously I can't leave, I'm literally sealed in your body. Issei. Haha, sorry Drake, I forgot, but tell me what happened and why I'm in a hospital room. Drake. You'll see, partner, after you and Vali managed to defeat the Trihexa, you fell into a coma. The last thing I remember is that they brought you to the hospital in Citri territory. Issei. I see, and you know how long I was in a coma. Drake. Well, I don't know that because I fell asleep just when they brought you to the hospital in Citri territory. Issei. Seriously, Issei would say while a drop of sweat came out of him in I'm style. Drake. Why are you acting like that, mate? Issei. You always spend your time sleeping, you're lazy. Drake. Don't judge me, mate. At least I was able to recover my power by sleeping during the time you were in a coma. Hahaha. Issei. Well, that's fine. Suddenly the door of the room would have been revealed, revealing who they were, which was the heiress of the Citri clan, Sona Citri, together with Azazel, leader of the fallen angels and supreme ruler of Gregory, but they were also for the Mayu and sister of Sona Citri, Seraphil Leviathan, and the three would be surprised to see Issei awake, and in that, Seraphil would say happily. Seraphil. Issei-chan, you finally woke up. Sona. I'm glad you're okay, Issei-san. Azazel. Wow boy, I'm glad you're finally awake. Issei. Oh hello Sarah-sama, I'm glad to see you again, and you too Kaichu Sona, but I'm happier to see you Azazel. Azazel. Same here, kid. Drake. I'm sorry to interrupt this, but Issei, don't you have something to ask them? Issei. Ah yes, that's true, listen, could you tell me how long I was in a coma? Seraphil. Well Issei-chan, don't be surprised, but you were in a coma for 3 months. Issei surprised. Wow. Azazel. She's right, kid. You were in a coma for 3 months after your battle with Trihexa. Sona. But thanks to you Issei, the supernatural world is safe, I really appreciate it for everything you did to save us. Seraphil. Sona-chan is right, I also want to thank you for saving us all, Issei-chan. Azazel. Boy, now you've completely surpassed me, you're a great friend and student. Issei. Haha thanks, but it's not that bad, I will always be willing to save those who matter to me. Sona. Okay Issei, let me go fix some things so you can leave the hospital today. Issei. Okay Kaichu Sona, but could you tell me if someone has come to visit me? Serafel. Well Issei-chan, the only ones who have come to visit you are Rias-chan and Xenovia-chan, the rest I have no idea why they haven't come to visit you. Issei. I see. Azazel. Well, we'll go and get the paperwork sorted out so you can leave the hospital today, feeling relaxed. You'll soon be able to see the girls again, rest assured. Issei. Thanks Azazel. So Azazel joined Sona and Serafel and left the room, leaving Issei thoughtful, but Drake would say. Drake. What are you thinking, mate? Issei. Well, something I've decided. Drake. Ha, don't make me laugh buddy, I know what you're thinking. Issei. Oh yeah, and what am I thinking about according to you? Drake. Please partner, it's obvious that you're thinking about the Gremory, but you think about them in a perverted way, what can be expected of you, partner? Issei. No Drake, you're wrong. I'm not thinking about girls. Well, yes, but not in a perverted way. Drake. Why do you say that, mate? If all you ever think about is women and breasts, why do you say you're not thinking about Gremory girls in a perverted way? Issei. You see Drake, that's why I was thinking that the girls fell in love with me, but not because I was a pervert, but because I'm always willing to protect them without asking for anything in return. That's why I've decided to stop being a pervert. From today on, I'm Hyodo Issei, but not the perverted Issei from before, but the Hyodo Issei, who is always willing to save his loved ones. Drake. Wow, buddy, I'm glad you're stopping being a pervert. At that point, Azazel would enter the room and say. Azazel. Well Issei, everything is ready for you to leave the hospital. Well, get ready and leave. I'm sure the girls will miss you, especially Rias and Xenovia. Issei. Yes Azazel. About 12 minutes later Issei would be out of the hospital and he would say goodbye to Azazel, Sona and Serafel, and he would go to Surzich's castle so that he would return him to Kuo. 37 minutes later Issei had already arrived at the Gremory castle and he would enter even if he was meeting Surzich's and seeing Issei he would say. Surzich's. Oh Issei, I see you've woken up. Issei. Hello Surzich's, I'm glad to see you. By the way, isn't Grafiya supposed to be with you? Surzich's. Well, you see, Issei Grafiya went on vacation with my father and mother and Grafiya also brought some soldiers so he could have some fun, that's why I'm the only one in charge of everything. Issei. I see, but Surzich's could return me to Kuo and another thing I want to know if my parents have already returned from the trip that Tsudaka-sama gave them. Surzich's. Well first, unfortunately your parents have not returned from the trip yet. As for the other things, of course I can return you to Kuo, just stand on this transportation circle. Issei. Thanks Surzich's, well we'll see each other later. And that Issei would disappear in the magic circle and in that when Issei left Surzich's would say in his mind. Surzich's. I must keep an eye on that idiot and prevent him from marrying Rias. The good thing is that she is still in my mother's office, but what she doesn't know is that the office is surrounded by magic circles that prevent her from leaving. Meanwhile in Kuo a magic circle would appear outside the occult club from where Issei would come out and say. Issei. How strange, why am I outside the occult club? I was supposed to appear outside my house, but well, surely the girls are here inside so I will enter. So Issei would enter the occult club and head to the main hall, but when he got to the door he heard strange noises and he approached to see what it was, but what he saw broke his heart because in the main room were Akeno, Irina, Kaneko, Rossweisse, Ravel, and Asia all kissing with a boy while they touched the girl's breasts. At that Issei would silently leave the occult club and when he left he would begin to fly with his demon wings while tears began to come out. On the roof of a building Issei was crying while he was saying. Issei. Why Drag, why did they do this to me if I always protected them no matter what? Drag. Calm down mate, remember that Gremory and that Xenovia are still there. Issei. If you're right, they are the only ones who didn't abandon me since Arafel-sama said that they are the only ones who were always by my side when I was in a coma, but she asked me where the president and Xenovia are. Suddenly a magic circle of the Gremory clan would form and Issei would notice. But from the magic circle a certain blue-haired girl with green locks would come out, which was Xenovia, who had some tears on her face. That's what Issei would say. Issei. Xenovia, what are you doing here and why do you look like you want to cry? At that Xenovia would run towards the brown-haired boy and would hug him tightly while she began to cry. Xenovia. Issei, I missed you so much, you don't know how happy it makes me to see you again and hug you. Issei. I'm also very happy to see you Xenovia, but tell me why you're here and how you found me. Xenovia. Well, you see, I found you because I could feel your demonic aura, and the other thing is because I found out what the others did to you, and I'm truly sorry, but you know that the president and I would never do something like that to you, because we both love you, Issei. Issei. And I'm glad you were the only ones who didn't betray me. At that, Issei and Xenovia were going to kiss, but suddenly they would be interrupted since in front of them a magic communication circle would appear, and it was Surziches who would tell them that he needs their presence in the Gremory castle, so Xenovia would make a magic transportation circle, so they would arrive at the Gremory castle, where they would be received by Surziches, and at that Issei would ask. Issei. Surziches, what did he need us for? Surziches. Well, Issei, you see, this guard will escort you to my office, but will I take Xenovia to Rias? Issei. It's okay. Issei would be escorted to Surzich's office, while Xenovia would be escorted to where Rias was, but once they arrived at the corresponding places, both Issei and Xenovia would be knocked out and taken to a room, where while Issei was unconscious, Surziches would take out the 8 pawn pieces, but he could only take out 6 pieces, since for some reason he could not take out the last 2 pieces, while Xenovia was still unconscious, she was beaten and whipped by Issei's former girls, but suddenly an attack would destroy the door, revealing who was the one who destroyed the door, and it was Rias, who was surprised to see Xenovia beaten and injured, while Issei had 6 holes in his body, and that Rias would say. Rias. Girls, bro, what do you think you're doing? Surziches. Laughs, how you were able to get out of mom's office. Rias. So it was you who locked me in the office, but that doesn't matter why you are doing that to Issei and Xenovia. Surziches. You see, I'm going to get rid of Issei and Xenovia since you don't need Issei, but don't worry, I'll find you another fiancé. Rias. You're an idiot, but I won't let you or the girls kill Issei and Xenovia. And that Rias would begin to attack his brother and the girls, while Issei began to get up, and he would see Rias fighting against Surziches and the girls, but he would try to increase his power, but he couldn't because he was very hurt, and he would see what Rias fell to the ground right near him, and he would scream. Issei. President EE. And that Rias would see Issei and would see that Xenovia was near Issei, but suddenly a portal would open behind Issei, and Xenovia Rias would see that her brother and the girls would be about to launch all their attacks to finish her and Issei off, and Xenovia Rias seeing that would turn to look at Issei, and she would say, Issei. Rias. Issei, I want you to please promise me something. Issei. Yes, President, what's happening? Rias. Promise me that you will be happy with Xenovia and that you will always love her no matter what happened, promise me, Issei, please. Issei. Yes, President, I promise. At that, Rias would launch an attack on Issei, leaving him unconscious, but before becoming unconscious, he would hear Rias say. Rias. Goodbye, Issei, I wish you happiness with Xenovia, remember that I will always be with you no matter what happens. Thus the attacks would hit Rias, causing her to disintegrate until nothing remained of her, but the great explosion would make Issei and Xenovia still unconscious be absorbed by the portal, thus the portal disappearing, and seeing that there was no one there, Surziches and the girls thought they had achieved their goal, they would be happy, but what they don't know is that Issei and Xenovia were still alive. Meanwhile, in another dimension, a young man with a grey armor could be seen trying to stop a strange giant robot, which he would succeed in doing, but in the process he would be losing a lot of blood, but a black-haired girl would approach, and upon seeing the boy, she would approach the boy while screaming. Girl. Tatsumi, are you okay? The boy, upon seeing the girl, would begin to walk slowly and would say the girl's name. Tatsumi. Akame. Tatsumi would fall into the arms of the girl known as Akame, and he would say with his last strength. Tatsumi. Forgive me for not being able to keep my promise, Akame, forgive me. So Tatsumi would die in Akame's arms, but she would start to cry while saying. Akame. You promised me that you would survive, Tatsumi. At that point the place where Akame was would be surrounded by a large wall of ice, and Akame would see that it was General Esdet that Akame would say angrily. Akame. I will finish you off once and for all so the imperial capital will have peace. And Akame would take out her Tigu Murasum, and then Esdet would say. Esdet. Try it if you want, but I highly doubt you can beat me. Thus would begin the fight that would be like in the original story, until Akame manages to defeat Esdet with her trump card, but Akame would be very hurt since Esdet had hurt her too much, but in that Akame would see that Esdet was approaching Tatsumi's body, but quickly Akame, with the strength that she had left, would stand in front of Esdet and she would say. Akame. I know what you're trying to do, Esdet, and I'm not going to let you do it. Listen to me carefully, Tatsumi belongs to me, only to me, and I won't let a damn crazy woman like you get close to him, you heard me. At that Esdet would fall to her knees on the ground and she would begin to freeze herself and she would say her last words. Esdet. It's okay, Akame, you won, so enjoy your victory. At that Esdet would freeze completely and would disappear into small particles of ice that went into the air. At that Akame, still winded, would lie down next to Tatsumi's body. At that Leon and Nagenda would arrive and they would see Tatsumi dead and Akame winded. At that Leon would approach and she would say. Leon. Akame can't be not only Tatsumi, but now you will die too. Akame. It doesn't matter Leon, you know I'm glad we could end all this. And that Nagenda would come closer and would say. Nagenda. Well done Akame, mission accomplished, now you and Tatsumi can go in peace, knowing that everything is over. I'm glad I met you Akame. Akame. Thank you, boss, but I would like to ask you one last favor before I die. Nagenda. Sure, tell me. Akame. I would like you to give money to the village of Tatsumi, it is what he would have wanted you to do before dying, please. Nagenda. Of course I will since I promised Tatsumi, but well I will leave you alone so you can die in peace. It was a pleasure working with you. Akame. Also boss. So Nagenda would leave Leon with Akame and Tatsumi's body, that's what Leon would say. Leon. I'm going to miss you a lot, my friend. I guess it's just me and Nagenda left, but I hope you can rest in peace, Akame. Akame. Thanks Leon, I'm also going to miss you a lot, friend, but I can only wish you to be happy now that everything is over. Leon. Thank you Akame, rest in peace. So Leon would leave and Akame would grab Tatsumi's hand and she would slowly approach Tatsumi's face, giving him a kiss on the lips, thus she is moving away from Tatsumi's face and she is saying with her last strength. Akame. I wish I had told you this before, but if I'm going to die next to you, I'll tell you. I love you, Tatsumi. I fell in love with you since I met you. I'm sorry for not being able to keep my promise and I'm sorry for not being able to tell you my feelings. So Akame would close her eyes and she is dying next to Tatsumi's body, but suddenly a portal would be created under the bodies of Akame and Tatsumi, thus absorbing the two together with her Tigasing Cursio and Murasum, thus the portal closing by completed. What will happen now you will find out in the next chapter. End of the prologue. Chapter 1. Arrival in a strange world, knowing the sin of wrath. Hello people of Wattpad, how are you? Well, here I bring you chapter 1 of the fanfic of 2 demons and 2 assassins in Nanatsu no Taizai. Well, I hope you enjoy it, but first, I am not the owner of the images and videos that I put, they belong to their respective creators, as well as the series and their characters, credit to their respective creators, only the story is mine. Now let the chapter begin, hit the intro. The opening ends at 129. Let's begin. In another place, more specifically in a forest, you can see a certain brown-haired boy and next to him a blue-haired girl who were Issei and Xenovia and they were unconscious, but suddenly the brown-haired boy began to open his eyes only to see a beautiful blue sky and in that he would get up and then say. Issei. Oh, my head also hurts, my whole body, wait, my body. And that the chestnut would see that he was no longer hurt but on the contrary he felt better and Issei would see that next to him was Xenovia still unconscious and Issei would say. Issei. Where are we, Drake friend, tell me what please, are you their partner? Suddenly the boosted gear would materialize in Issei's arm. Drake. Yes, buddy, I'm here, luckily I'm still alive. Issei. That's good, but you know what happened. Drake. Well, the only thing I remember is that the Gremory left you unconscious. I could only see how the Gremory turned into ashes, from there I don't remember anything else. At that Issei would start to cry, but Drake would say. Drake. Calm down now, mate. Remember what you promised the Gremory before she died. At that Issei would remember the promise he made to Rias and at that Issei would say. Issei. You're right Drake, I promised the president that I would be happy with Xenovia and that I will always love her and be by her side, I will not let her sacrifice be in vain. Drake. That's the attitude, mate. By the way, the girl is starting to wake up. For now, I'm going to sleep while you and the girl investigate this place. Bye. Thus the boosted gear would disappear from Issei's arm. And that Issei would see that Xenovia woke up and would say. Xenovia. Issei, where we are, I don't know this place. Issei. Xenovia, do you remember what happened when Surziches took you to where the president was? Xenovia. No, the only thing I remember is that I was knocked out and after that I don't remember anything. Issei. Okay Xenovia, I'll tell you everything that happened. So Issei would tell Xenovia everything that happened until when Issei got to the part when Rias was killed by the girls and Surziches, leaving Xenovia impressed but above all sad since Rias was now dead. And that Xenovia says. Xenovia. So if you say that a portal absorbed us, that means we are in another world. Issei. You could say yes. Xenovia. And what will we do now if we don't know this place? Issei. Well, as Drake told me, we will have to go through this forest until we find something and nothing bad can happen. After all, we can defend ourselves since we are demons. Xenovia. I guess you're right, but well, it's better to start walking. At that Issei and Xenovia would begin to walk through the forest that seemed to have no end. Meanwhile in another part of the forest you would see a black-haired girl and a brown-haired boy who were Akame and Tatsumi, and that Akame would feel their heartbeats and that would leave her confused, and that she would open her eyes and she would see a beautiful blue sky, but she would get up from the ground and she would see that she is in a forest, leaving her even more confused, and she would say, "Akame, what's going on? How come I can still feel my heartbeat and why don't I feel any pain?" And that Akame would see that she was no longer hurt and that next to her was her Tigumura-san, but not only that, but there was also Tatsumi, but he was not hurt, and Akame would approach to see if Tatsumi was still breathing, and when she realized that Tatsumi was still breathing, that would leave her amazed and she would say, "Akame, it can't be Tatsumi, you're alive and so am I, but how is it possible if you clearly died when you defeated the Emperor's Tigu and I died by your side? I don't understand what's happening." At that Tatsumi would suddenly get up and would see that he was alive and without any injuries, leaving him in a state of shock, but he would turn to look to his left and would see Akame and would say, "Tatsumi. Akame, is it you that I'm alive?" Akame. "Yes, Tatsumi is me and you are also alive just like me." Tatsumi confused. "What do you mean I'm alive just like you?" Akame. "Well, you see." So Akame telling Tatsumi about her battle against Desdit and her death, leaving Tatsumi impressed whoever he was, he would say, "Tatsumi. That is incredible, but I don't understand why we are still alive if we die, and besides, we are in a forest that is nothing like the forests of the imperial capital." Akame. "I don't know why we're still alive either, Tatsumi, and besides, you're right. This forest doesn't look anything like the ones in the imperial capital. I suggest we investigate a little." Tatsumi. "It's okay, Akame." So both would begin to walk through the forest, inspecting each place in the forest. Meanwhile with Issei and Xenovia it was the same, they kept inspecting the forest, while wondering if this forest has an end. That's what Xenovia would say. Xenovia. "Hey Issei, is this forest endless or something?" Issei. "Well, I say we just have to keep moving forward while we continue inspecting the forest." Xenovia. "It's okay." Meanwhile on the side where Tatsumi and Akame were, Tatsumi would start to get bored and would say, "Tatsumi. Hey Akame, how much longer do we have to inspect the forest?" Akame. "Whatever is necessary, plus we have Artigas, so if something attacks us, we just kill them with Artigas." Tatsumi. "It's okay." But in that on both sides where our protagonists were, they would feel that something was approaching so quickly on Issei's side, he would throw Xenovia to the ground, the same thing would happen on the other side, Tatsumi would throw Akame to the ground, and both Tatsumi and Issei would see that the trees were cut down by a single cut, and that Tatsumi would say, "Tatsumi. What the hell, the trees were cut down by a single cut, I don't understand." But Issei. Issei. "But what the heck, the trees were cut down with just one cut." Xenovia. "Issei, could you please get off me?" And that Issei would see that he is on top of Xenovia and he would get up a little embarrassed, while with Tatsumi and Akame they had already gotten up and they would see a giant man with armor, and in that Tatsumi remembers General Budo and he would say, "Tatsumi. That big guy reminds me of General Budo." Akame. "It's true, I remember that you had lost against him and that's why they captured you." Tatsumi. "Exactly, but look, there's a boy and a girl there, we have to save them." Akame. "You're right, we have to save them." But Issei and Xenovia. Xenovia. "That guy is heading towards that boy and the girl, we make Issei." Issei. "We have to save them quickly." Xenovia. "I understand." But in that, what happened in the original story would happen, but the difference is that Meliodas had his sacred treasure lost vein, and he would defeat the sacred knight, but before returning with Elizabeth, Meliodas would be attacked by a group of sacred knights, but suddenly they would all be cut off by 4 people who were our protagonists, and in that, Meliodas would say, "Meliodas. Sate, they had taken too long to leave their hiding place." Issei. "For a moment we knew we were hiding." Meliodas. "That's right." Tatsumi. "And how did you know?" Meliodas. "I have a few little tricks up my sleeve." And Issei and Xenovia's thoughts. "This boy gives off a demonic aura almost similar to ours." And Meliodas' thoughts. "Why do I feel an amazing power in these people?" At that Elizabeth would approach and ask. Elizabeth. "Meliodas-sama, who are these people who finished off those knights?" Meliodas. "I have no idea, but changing the subject, Elizabeth, you already found me the leader of the 7 deadly sins, but regarding the rest of the team, I have to talk to them, so what do you say? We'll gather the rest of the sins, you and I." Elizabeth. "Yes, Meliodas-sama, but they will also help." Meliodas. "I'll take care of it, listen you 4. Akame. "What's up?" Xenovia. "You're going to thank us for saving you and this girl." Meliodas. "I actually propose that you accompany me. I want to know about you 4 and why you give off such a powerful power." Issei. "Well, okay, I think we can trust you." Tatsumi. I'm also curious about these guys. Issei. I think the same too. But at that moment he would start to tremble, and from it would come out a huge green pig, and both Tatsumi Akame, Xenovia and Issei were already on top of the big pig, and at that Tatsumi would say surprised. Tatsumi. Whoa, this pig is so huge. Akame. We could have enough meat for a year. Meliodas. I'm sorry but this pig is inedible. Issei. Well, we'll tell you about ourselves. Tatsumi. But you'll also have to tell us who those deadly sins you mentioned are. Meliodas. Okay, well, I'll go into the tavern. Then you guys come in, but you'll have to tell me everything. So Meliodas would enter the tavern while leaving Issei and Xenovia outside. He joined Tatsumi and Akame, and that's what Issei would say. Issei. Well, I guess before we tell you about ourselves, we have to introduce ourselves, don't you think? Tatsumi. I was going to say the same thing. Issei. Well then I start, my name is Hyodo Issei. Xenovia. I am Xenovia the Fourth. Akame. My name is Akame Murasame. Tatsumi. And my name is Tatsumi Hijikata. Issei. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, but now I want to know about you. Tatsumi. Same here. And Issei's thoughts. Issei. Hey Drag, do you feel that power that Tatsumi and Akame emanate? Drag. I'm sorry, mate, but I still don't see any bad intentions in them. Issei. It's okay Drag. Out of Issei's thoughts. Issei. Well, soon we will know what we need to know about ourselves. Akame. I hope you don't hide anything at all. Xenovia. Don't worry, we're trustworthy. Akame. It's okay. Thus our four protagonists would carefully observe the surroundings, and these would speak in their thoughts. In the thoughts of Issei and Xenovia. Issei Xenovia surprised. Perhaps this is a medieval world. In the thoughts of Tatsumi and Akame. Tatsumi Akame surprised. This only means one thing, it means that we are not in our world. Chapter 2. On the way to Burnia, the revelations of Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi. Previously our protagonists had arrived at a new world where they were very shocked as they saw someone named Meliodas kill a giant guy in armor, and our protagonists accepted the deal to go with Meliodas, but on the condition that he tell everything about them that will happen now find out. Issei and Xenovia were sitting outside Meliodas' tavern while Tatsumi and Akame were a little far away from them, but that's what Issei would say. Issei. Hey Xenovia, what do you think of that demonic aura that Meliodas emanates, do you think he's a demon? Xenovia. I think he is a demon, but if this is another world I think he is a different demon than us. Issei. I guess so. With Tatsumi and Akame. Tatsumi. Akame, do you think we should tell them that we are from another world? Akame. We have to do it, we have to tell everything about ourselves, there is no other option. Tatsumi. I guess you're right. Then that Meliodas would come out and he would say. Meliodas. Sate listen come in it's time you told me about yourselves. The four would just nod and enter the tavern and inside the tavern, a small pink pig which is Hawk and would say. Hawk. And who are Meliodas? Meliodas. Calm down Hawk, they're just friends. The four surprised. The pig can talk yay. Hawk. Of course I can talk, why are you surprised? Tatsumi. That's not true, pigs can't talk. Issei. You are literally scary, how Tatsumi said, pigs can't talk. Xenovia. From what Meliodas said, your name is Hawk, right? Hawk. That's right, but it's still not the first time they've seen a talking pig. Akame. Meliodas, I can eat the talking pig. Meliodas. I can make a roast pig if you want. At that Hawk would put on a scared face because of what Akame said, but he would calm down and then say. Hawk. First of all, I'm not edible, and secondly, they haven't told me their names. Issei. Well Hawk, you'll know our names when we talk about ourselves. Xenovia. Hey Meliodas and the girl who was with you. Akame. I think her name is Elizabeth, right? Meliodas. Well she's about to come down. Elizabeth would come down in her tavern uniform, but she was a little nervous. Elizabeth. Hey guys, what are the clothes for? Xenovia came, what the heck, why are you wearing that Elizabeth? At that Meliodas would raise his thumb and say to Elizabeth. Meliodas. It's our uniform you like. Tatsumi. But what kind of uniform is that Meliodas? Hawk. This idiot never knows how to hide his perversions. Issei surprised. What do you mean Meliodas is a pervert? Hawk. You have no idea. In Issei's mind. Greg. Seriously, buddy, now that you're not a pervert anymore, we'll have to put up with another pervert. Issei. Well, I guess there is no other option Drake, also be glad that I am not a pervert anymore. Greg. That obviously makes me happy. Out of Issei's mind. Meliodas would be looking at Elizabeth's underwear and everyone would scream. Everyone? What the heck? And that Hawk would grab Meliodas and he would say. Hawk. Idiot, we already have a girl to attract clients, don't scare her away. Meliodas. Okay, that's enough. Elizabeth. Excuse me, Meliodas-sama, I would like to ask you what kind of crimes you have committed. Meliodas. What kind of crimes? Elizabeth. You helped me, and you helped these 4 people without even knowing them, but could you tell me what kind of crimes you have committed? Issei. That makes me curious to know too. Xenovia. If you are a criminal then we need to know what kind of crimes you have committed. Tatsumiya came. Also remember that you have to tell about yourself too. Meliodas. Well, you see, 6 months ago I was wandering around Lion stealing all the underwear I could. Issei Tatsumi. What do you want Nervous Elizabeth. Meliodas-sama, it's a joke, right? Meliodas. Obvious. Then they would all fall in the anime style and Meliodas would say. Meliodas. Well, the truth is that I played with several girls' breasts on my travels. Xenovia came. This has to be a juwad. Elizabeth more nervous. Paige's breasts is another joke as these girls say, right? Meliodas. Obviously yes. And everyone would fall back into the anime style that Elizabeth would say. Elizabeth. Stop playing with me or maybe you committed a crime you can't forgive yourself for. Meliodas. Well, the truth is I've never committed a crime like that. Became. You're a perverted idiot like Hawk says. Hawk. If so, you too should be careful with this idiot. Xenovia. Don't worry Hawk, besides I only loved one person in this world and he has never left my side. Became. I say the same, I only loved one person who is always by my side. Issei's mind. Dreg. You see partner Xenovia loves you. Issei. That's obvious Dreg remember that she told me that she and the president love me well it's just her now because you know the president died. Dreg. I know, mate. Out of Issei's mind. Mentata Tatsumi. Tatsumi. Does Akame love me? Well, I also feel attracted to her. I also love Akame. I just hope that now that I have a second chance to live, I can tell Akame how I feel. Out of Tatsumi's mind. Meliodas. Well first I will tell you about myself, let me introduce myself, I am Meliodas, I am the leader of the 7 deadly sins, I am the sin of wrath, she is Elizabeth, princess of this kingdom called Lions, and he is Hawk. Hawk. I am the captain of the Order of Leftovers. Issei. Okay, that thing about the Order of Leftovers is very strange. Meliodas. Well, it's time for you to tell us about the 4 of you. Tatsumi. Issei first you and Xenovia tell about you too. Issei. Okay, well, let me introduce myself. My name is Hyodo Issei. Xenovia. And I am Xenovia the 4th. Issei. Well the first thing you have to know is that we are from this world. Tatsumi. Same as us, Akame and I are not from this world. Hawk Elizabeth. They are not from this world. Meliodas. Sate so you are not from this world well then Issei and Xenovia tell me about your world. Issei. Okay, you see in our world there are demons, angels, fallen angels, Nordic gods, yakes and celestial dragons. So Issei would continue telling them everything about the factions, the sacred gears, the sacred swords, about what magic circles are, and he even told them about Drake showing his boosted gear, until he told them about the girl's betrayal and Ria's death, leaving everyone surprised, and then Hawk would say crying. Hawk. That's very sad what happened to you too. Meliodas. It can't be how is it possible? Elizabeth. I'm so sorry about what happened to that girl named Rias. Issei. Don't worry, I promised the president that I would be happy with Xenovia and I don't intend to fail on that promise. Xenovia would only blush at what Issei said. Mind of Xenovia. Xenovia. Then I can be happy with Issei and I could even get married to him, that would be very romantic. Out of Xenovia's mind. Meliodas. Well now that Issei and Xenovia have told us about their world, it's time to hear about you. By the way, you haven't told me your names. Tatsumi. Well my name is Tatsumi Hijikata. Akame. And I am Akame Murasame. Meliodas. Well now I would like to know about those swords that you two possess. Akame. Well our swords are Tigas or imperial weapons and like Issei and Xenovia we are not from this world. Tatsumi. Before telling what our world is like, you have to know that our world is not like Issei and Xenovia's, you'll see why. So Tatsumi and Akame would tell them about their world, about the imperial capital, the corruption, what the Tigas are, that they are part of a group of assassins called Night Raid, about the deaths of their companions, until when Tatsumi defeated the legendary Tigu of the Emperor, telling that he also died when stopping the Tigu of the Emperor and Akame telling about her battle against Esdat, and that she also died in that battle, leaving everyone impressed and with tears in their eyes. Hawk would say that. Hawk. No, that was very sad. Elizabeth. It seems that you suffered a lot in your world. Meliodas. I think fate gave them another chance to live. Akame. You're right, we won't waste this second chance to live, right Tatsumi? Tatsumi. That's right. The Kame's mind. The Kame. If fate sent us to another world and gave us a new chance to live, that means I have the chance to tell Tatsumi that I love him. Out of a Kame's mind. Meliodas. Sate, then tell me, will you help me and Elizabeth gather the rest of my friends? Also I think that with your help, we can defeat the Holy Knights, they say. Elizabeth. Please Issei, Xenovia, Kame and Tatsumi, help me save the Lion Kingdom please. Issei. Okay Meliodas, we'll help you find the other deadly sins. Xenovia. Don't worry Miss Elizabeth, we will also help you save your kingdom. Issei. Listo para una aventura drag. At that the boosted gear would appear on Issei's arm. Drag. I'm ready, buddy. Hawk. And you Kame and Tatsumi will help, right? Tatsumi. Of course Hawk, we will help, and working together we can finish off the Holy Knights. The Kame. We will help no matter what happens. Issei. So now we are together in this adventure, what do Kame and Tatsumi say? Xenovia. Yes, they say so. The Kame Tatsumi. Of course yeah. Meliodas. Well, right now we're heading towards the village of Burnia for some Burnia beer and to gather information on the whereabouts of the other deadly sins. Issei. Hey Meliodas, do you have any food? I'm hungry. Tatsumi. Yo I will. Then Meliodas quickly appeared with 2 plates of food for Issei and Tatsumi. The Kame. And for the 2 of us what? Meliodas. Don't worry, Elizabeth will prepare something for you 2 and Issei and Tatsumi in case they don't like what I prepared. Hawk. It's better to try the food before saying thank you. Issei and Tatsumi would try the food, but at that moment they would spit it out and Meliodas would say. Meliodas. And it tastes horrible. Issei Tatsumi. Remember. The Kame. Elizabeth better prepare us something to eat while we get to that place called Burnia. Elizabeth. Okay then wait here. So Elizabeth would go to cook while Issei and Xenovia and Kame and Tatsumi were surprised since Hawk began to eat the leftovers of the food. Xenovia. Now I understand why you say you're the captain of the leftovers order. Issei. You only feed on leftovers. Hawk. There's nothing wrong with that, or maybe there is. Issei. No, there's nothing wrong with that, everyone has their own tastes. So everyone would start laughing and then Meliodas would ask. Meliodas. Hey, Issei Tatsumi, don't you want a drink? Issei. No thanks, I'll pass. Tatsumi. I'll pass too. Meliodas. Well, okay, you're missing out. And that Meliodas and Hawk would leave Issei, Xenovia, Kame and Tatsumi alone and Issei would say. Issei. Well then friends. Tatsumi. Friends. Chapter 3. The village of Burnia. Previously our protagonists had told everything about their worlds to Meliodas, Elizabeth and Hawk, who were impressed but at the same time sad to know everything that Issei and Xenovia have experienced, and Kame and Tatsumi agreed to help Meliodas and Elizabeth in the search for the 7 deadly sins, and at this moment they are heading towards Burnia. What will happen now? Let's find out. Meanwhile in the world of High School DxD. In the Gremory castle, Xerxes was thinking about something. Xerxes. I don't know why I feel like Issei and Xenovia are still alive, but I still have to think about what I will tell my parents and Grafiya when they return, since I can't say that I killed Rias obviously, but oh well, what can be done. So Xerxes would continue with his usual work. Meanwhile at Kuo Academy, more specifically in the student council room, Sona Citri would be thinking about something specific. Sona. I don't know why I didn't stop thinking about the one I felt Ria's power fade away and Issei and Xenovia's power disappear. Tsubaki. Calm down, President, it was probably just an accident or something. Sona. I don't think so. Tsubaki felt so real. I literally felt Ria's power fade away and while Issei and Xenovia's power disappeared out of nowhere. Then they would knock on the door. Sona. Go ahead. And that would enter members of the Gremory clan which were Kiba and Gasper and Sona I would say. Sona. Kiba Gasper they need. Kiba. Well Kaichu, what happens is that we have been looking for the President, Issei and Xenovia for a while, but we haven't found them. Gasper. So we came to see if the President and Issei and Xenovia were here. Sona. I'm sorry but I don't know where any of them are. Tsubaki. But don't you think it's a little strange that they suddenly disappeared, it's as if the earth had swallowed them up. Kiba. I guess you're right Tsubaki-chan. Tsubaki would only blush at what Kiba said, but then a magic circle appears from which Azazel and Vali Lucifer would come out and then Sona would ask. Sona. Azazel-sama, what are you doing here and also why is Vali with you? Azazel. Well that's why Vali and I know what really happened to Issei and Xenovia, plus something very bad happened to the Gremory. Kiba. And what happened? Vali. I know, let me explain. You see, I was flying through the underworld bored without doing anything, but I accidentally arrived at the Gremory territory and then I felt Issei's power as if he was disappearing. Then I went down to see and I saw that Xerxes took out 6 pawn pieces since for some reason he couldn't take out the other 2 that were left, and I also saw how the other Gremory girls were hitting Xenovia, I think that's her name. Suddenly the Gremory arrived and started fighting against her brother and the girls of her clan, and I saw how Issei could barely get up, but suddenly a strange portal appeared behind Issei and Xenovia, and the Gremory threw Issei and Xenovia into that portal, but unfortunately the attacks that Xerxes and the girls launched hit the ants, and she ended up dying. After that, I left there as quickly as possible, and I told Azazel what happened and now we are here. Sona. So that's why I felt Ria's energy fade away, and also why Issei and Xenovia's energy disappeared out of nowhere. Hiba. So that happened, I can't believe it. Asper. Wait Volley, you said that a portal took Issei and Xenovia, right? Ollie. That's why. Asper. This may sound crazy, but that portal may take Issei and Xenovia to another world. Azazel. That could be true, the portals can take you to other worlds, but even so for the moment we must keep the secret, but even so Sona, I need you to tell this to Serafel-sama, but tell her to keep the secret. Sona. Okay, I'll take care of it. Azazel. Well, for now I'm leaving, but Kiba Gasper, come with me, I'm going to need you. Kiba Gasper. Understood Azazel. So Kiba Gasper and Volley would leave with Azazel leaving Sona and Tsubaki thoughtful. Tsubaki. President, what shall we do now? Sona. For now I'll go tell my sister about this, but I'll do it after school. So Sona and Tsubaki would go to their respective classes while they thought about what had happened. Meanwhile in the world of Nanatsu no Taizai. Our protagonists were about to arrive at Burnia, but then Issei and Xenovia would see that on the floor were Akame and Tatsumi sitting but asleep. The peculiar thing is that Akame was sleeping peacefully on Tatsumi's lap. Issei and Xenovia would find this somewhat funny, and Issei would say. Issei. Hey Xenovia, do you think they two love each other? Xenovia. Well, I think so, I feel that Akame likes Tatsumi, and the same thing happens with Tatsumi, he likes Akame, but I think that they two don't dare to say what they feel. Issei. Well, I guess you're right. At that point Meliodas, Elizabeth and Hawk would arrive and see the scene, and Meliodas would say. Meliodas. Sate, I think those two lovebirds enjoy sleeping together. Elizabeth. They look so cute together. Hawk. It smells like romance here. Issei. That's what some people say when they see these kinds of scenes. Hawk. Hey, Akame is drooling. And that they would see Akame and indeed drool was coming out of her mouth and Xenovia would say. Xenovia. Hahaha, I think she likes it too much. At that Hawk's mom would stop and Meliodas would say. Meliodas. We're here. Issei. Well, we were late. At that Tatsumi would wake up and say. Tatsumi. Ah, hello guys, what's up? We've already arrived at that village of Burnia. Issei would say that jokingly. Issei. Hey Tatsumi, are you comfortable sleeping there? Meliodas chibi. If it's true you're comfortable. Tatsumi confused. What are they talking about? At that Tatsumi would lower his gaze and see Akame sleeping on his lap and she was drooling and he would blush and say. Tatsumi. Pages but Akame is sleeping on my legs. At that Akame would wake up and Xenovia would say jokingly. Xenovia. Hey Akame, did you sleep comfortably? Akame. Huh. At that Akame would blush since she would see that she was lying on Tatsumi's lap and that she was drooling and she would wipe the drool and she would say embarrassed. Akame. I'm so sorry Tatsumi. Tatsumi. Nothing happened Akame. Meliodas. Well, we better go to the village now. Everyone would go out and see how Hawk's mom would go into the ground and the boys would start walking and Meliodas would say. Meliodas. My tavern sells many types of liquors and beers, but the best of all is Burnia's beer. Burnia's beer is the most delicious beer you can try. The water supply here never runs out. Issei. Well, I don't think so, Meliodas, look. Then they would see that the river had dried up. Tatsumi. What the hell, the river is dry. Akame. And those leaves are withered. Issei. This is very strange, don't you think? Xenovia. You're right. Here everything would happen like in the original story, Mead saying that he knows the 7 deadly sins until when everyone tries to pull out the sword of the sacred knight with a rope while other knights who were there laughing were about to make another toast, but suddenly their glasses were grabbed by Issei and Tatsumi and Issei would say. Issei. Those who do not appreciate the value of a drink that has been made with great effort and dedication. Tatsumi. They don't deserve to drink it. So Issei and Tatsumi would drink the beer, which impressed Xenovia and Akame. The same thing would happen as in the original story, Meliodas would pull the sword out of the ground and after that everyone would be celebrating in the boar hat and meanwhile Elizabeth would be nervous and say. Elizabeth. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. This is the first time I've done this. Meliodas. So what a first time, say that again about your first time. Hawk. Stop bothering her like that, pervert. Issei. Wow, Meliodas was right, Bernia's beer is delicious. Tatsumi. Yes it is. Xenovia. I don't believe this thing about you drinking Issei. Became. I don't believe it about you either, Tatsumi. Issei. Try a little Xenovia, I'm sure you like it. Tatsumi. Come on Akame, you try too. Xenovia Akame. It's okay. So both would drink the beer and Xenovia would say. Xenovia. Wow, it tastes good. Akame. Its flavor is exquisite. The four would see that Meliodas left the tavern and they would see that Meliodas was talking to Elizabeth and that is what Issei would say. Issei. Something happens. Meliodas. No, nothing's wrong, I was just talking to Elizabeth, that's all. Suddenly a spear full of lightning would go in Elizabeth's direction, but Meliodas would grab the spear and Issei would take out his boosted gear and help Meliodas stop the spear and after having stopped it, Issei and Meliodas would throw the spear towards the direction from where it came and a pink-haired holy knight would be seen sitting on a throne and that the spear would hit near his face and he would say. Holy knight. I see that you are still alive, traitor captain, and I also see that you have an interesting ally. Back in Bernia. Everyone would come to see Issei and Meliodas and that's what Elizabeth would say. Elizabeth. Meliodas Sama is fine. Meliodas. If you don't worry Elizabeth. Worried Xenovia. Issei, are you okay? You weren't hurt. Issei. I'm fine Xenovia, luckily the boosted gear covered my arm and prevented it from hurting me. Tatsumi. Wow, that was incredible, but the fact that they sent that spear alone means something, right Meliodas? Meliodas. Yes, it means the holy knights know where we are. Hawk. And what do we do now? Became. It would be best if we left so as not to endanger the village of Bernia and went into hiding. Just like in the original story they would make the decision to look for another deadly sin in the forest of white dreams, so they would all leave on top of the mother hawk, while on the way Issei would say. Issei. I wonder who the next deadly sin we'll encounter will be. Tatsumi. Well, Meliodas didn't say anything about that. Became. He just said that when we arrive we should enter the forest of the white dream. Xenovia. Then we'll have to be alert, we never know when a true holy knight will appear. All? Yes. Chapter 4. Diane, the Sin of Envy, appears. Previously our protagonists arrived at the village of Bernia and had to help in some things that luckily they managed to solve, but a sacred knight managed to find out where our protagonists and Meliodas were so our protagonists and Meliodas along with Elizabeth and Hawk left for a place called the Forest of the White Dream. What will happen now find out. Our protagonists were walking while they saw everything around them, but that's what Tatsumi would say. Tatsumi. We've been walking for a while and there's nothing here just fog. Became. This is very strange. Hawk. That's strange. Became. There are no animals here to hunt and eat. Hawk. Hey Meliodas, we've been walking for a while and nothing at all. Issei. I'm starting to get bored. Xenovia. We weren't supposed to find one of your team Meliodas. Elizabeth. It's true, Meliodas Sama is sure that one of the 7 deadly sins is here. Meliodas. I don't know. Issei. Pwee. Tatsumi. It's a joke, right? Became Xenovia. So we came here without any proof. Hawk scared. Hey listen, there are rumors that there is a terrible monster stalking this forest. At that Elizabeth would scream. Xenovia came. What's happening Elizabeth? Elizabeth. Sorry, something touched my butt. And that it was Meliodas who did this and this would say. Meliodas. Calm down Elizabeth, it's me. Elizabeth. Ah thank goodness. Issei Xenovia came to Tatsumi Hawk. Thank goodness, really. Meliodas. Well then let's continue. Hawk. Hey, don't ignore what I said. Issei. Meliodas, why the hell are we here if you don't have a single proof that there is a deadly sin here? Meliodas. No seriously, I have proof Issei. Issei Tatsumi. We all hear you. Meliodas. You will see the forest of the white dream is a very dangerous forest here animals do not enter, because once you enter here it is clear that you will get lost here with no hope of returning even travelers always avoid this forest. Became. This is like avoiding forests where dangerous beasts live. Tatsumi. It's true, it's almost the same as that. Xenovia Issei. Which is a dangerous beast. Became. Long story, we'll tell you later. That's what Elizabeth would say in her mind. Elizabeth. But that they are not there is not possible. Issei. Miss Elizabeth, is something wrong? Elizabeth. No nothing I'm fine. Xenovia. Well then let's keep walking. Elizabeth's mind. Elizabeth. This can't be happening. Focus on me. Elizabeth. I know I had them on this morning. Maybe I left them in the bathroom. No, I would never do that. Out of Elizabeth's mind. Elizabeth. They disappeared, how horrible. Angry Hawk. Walk at once. Elizabeth. Yes, yes. Tatsumi. Wow, Hawk is very stressed. Issei. That's obvious. Meliodas. Don't worry, everyone is bothered by talking pigs. And that they would see that Hawk had divided into many of him, and the Hawk would scream. Hawk. It's just me you're calling pigs. Ah, there are too many of us. Xenovia. What the heck, Hawk just multiplied by many. Became. This is bad. Tatsumi. But which one of them is the real one? At that point all the Hawks would run towards Meliodas, but he would give them a big punch that would make them fall, that's what Elizabeth would say. Elizabeth. Hawk, are you okay? Xenovia. If you're the real one just tell us if you're okay. At that the Hawks would cry behind Elizabeth and Xenovia, but at that the fog would grow bigger, and at that Elizabeth and Xenovia would see two people in front of them, and when the fog dissipated, Elizabeth would see that it was a clone of her, the same with Xenovia in front of her, there would be a clone of her. Elizabeth. I am. Xenovia. And me too. Issei. What the hell? Clones of Elizabeth. Meliodas-sama. Xenovia clones. Issei-kun. Elizabeth clone. She knows I'm the real truth. Elizabeth clone. Not the real me. Elizabeth clone. No, I'm the real one. Xenovia clone. Issei, you know that I am the real truth. Xenovia clone. Don't believe her, the real one is me, Issei. Xenovia clone. But it's me, the real one. Issei. Ain't no horror. Meliodas. Wow, there are a lot of Elizabeth's breasts for me. Tatsumi. Meliodas, this is not the time for your nonsense. Became. How do we find the real Xenovia and Elizabeth? On that. Dark voice. Get out of here, you will never escape from the forest. Issei. What the heck, where is that voice coming from? At that Elizabeth and Xenovia would jump and say. Clones of Elizabeth. Meliodas-sama. Xenovia clones. Issei-kun. At that everyone would jump, at that Issei would say. Issei. What do I do? I don't know who the real Xenovia is. Tatsumi. Now what? Became. I must attack them all, but if I were to hurt the real ones with a cut from Murasame, if only I could make Murasame not have the poison when I don't need it. At that a purple aura would come out of Akame's sword, at that Tatsumi would say. Tatsumi. What just happened? Akame surprised. Perhaps Murasame no longer has the poison. Tatsumi. You have to find out. Meliodas. Sate, what am I going to do? Which of you all is the real Elizabeth? Elizabeth clone. It's me, believe me. Elizabeth clone. I will do whatever you ask of me. Meliodas. Well then from now on you will do what I tell you, do you understand? Elizabeth clones. Yes. Issei. I have an idea. Drake, try to communicate with the real Xenovia and tell her what I will tell you now. Drake. Understood, mate. So Issei would tell his plan to Drake, and he would be able to communicate with the real Xenovia, to whom he would explain Issei's plan, something that she would understand. And that Issei would tell Akame and Tatsumi his plan, something that they would understand, just like in the original story Meliodas would say many things to the Elizabeths, while Issei couldn't decide what to say to the Xenovias until he said. Issei. Here it comes. That's what Meliodas would say. Meliodas. Okay, one last thing, Elizabeths, jump as high as you can. Elizabeth clones. Yees. Issei. Okay Xenovias, do the same, jump as high as you can. Xenovia clones. Yees. At that moment one of the Elizabeths was on the floor and she would say. Elizabeth. Oh, sorry, I can't do it. And as Xenovia was standing on the ground and she would say. Xenovia. Do it now. Elizabeth and Xenovia clones. At that, at great speed, Akame, Tatsumi and Meliodas would cut the clones of Elizabeth and Xenovia, revealing that they were the ones in hiding. Hawk. They are hidden and infamous. At that Akame would see a hidden person lying on the ground and she would see that the Murasame poison did not appear and she would say. Akame. This is incredible, the Murasame poison does not appear in the wound if it is hidden. Xenovia. So that means you now have the ability to use poison whenever you want. Akame. I think so. He. Tatsumi. Hey, but those hiding were the damn forest monster. Issei. We must follow them quickly. Meliodas. Then let's not waste time and follow them. All. Yes. And that Meliodas would approach Elizabeth and she would give him something that was her underwear. Meliodas. I'll give them back to you, let's go. Elizabeth. AP, but why did you have them? Then everyone would follow the hidden ones until they reached where there was a girl, but it turned out to be a giant girl. Tatsumi. What the heck is a giant? Issei. Giants aren't supposed to be ugly. Xenovia. I don't think so since she is a giant girl, yes, but cute at the same time. Became. I agree. At that the giant girl would get up and grab Meliodas, but accidentally grab Issei and Tatsumi by one leg, and she would say. Giant girl. They are holy knights. Hawk. He's going to eat them. Elizabeth. Please release Meliodas-sama. Xenovia. Hey giant girl, let go of my dear Issei. Became. You better let go of Tatsumi or I'll cut off your arm. Giant girl. Meliodas. Issei. Do you know me? Meliodas. Hello Diane, how long? Tatsumi. Do you know her? The girl identified as Diane would look at Meliodas and then with a big smile and stars in her eyes she would scream. Diane. Captain Captain I've missed you so much. Elizabeth. Captain. Became. What is that girl talking about? Hawk. Wait a minute, maybe she's Diane the snake of envy. Xenovia. So she's a deadly sin. That's what Diane would say. Diane. Oh Captain, you shouldn't have remembered that I love roast pork. Hawk. No, I'm not edible. At that Diane would put Hawk on a campfire while saying. Hawk. Oh I burned myself. Diane. I can't eat you if you're not fried. Meliodas. Wow, something smells delicious. Hawk. Don't say I'm not telling you, help me. In that Xenovia and Akane would help Hawk and in that Diane would say. Diane. And who are they, Captain? Elizabeth. Oh hello how are you Diane-sama my name is Elizabeth Meliodas-sama allowed me to go with him on this search. In that Diane would see Akane, Xenovia and Elizabeth's breasts, something that they would notice. Akane. Why are you looking at me like that? Xenovia. It's like she's jealous. Issei. Hey Diane, could you please put me down? Tatsumi. I also ask the same. Diane. They travel alone, Captain. Issei. No, there's also the pig and the other two you're holding. Diane. Oh seriously? Meliodas. Yes, really. But Meliodas would be thrown to the ground along with Issei and Tatsumi, and Diane screamed. Diane. Shameless womanizer. In that Meliodas, Issei and Tatsumi would crash into some rocks and emerge from the rubble. Meliodas. How intense. Issei. You create. Tatsumi. That girl is strong. Elizabeth. Meliodas-sama. Xenovia came. Issei, Tatsumi estén bien. Issei Tatsumi. Yes we are fine. At that Diane would fall to the ground and say while crying comically. Diane. I thought I was reunited with the man I loved, but he's not just with one, but with 3 women you broke my small and dedicated heart, but sniff if you have an explanation I want to hear it. Meliodas. Ah, what do you want me to tell you alone? And that Meliodas would be hit by Diane while he was saying. Diane. Forget your excuses, Captain, perverted womanizer. Go under for being rude. Go under now. Go under, stupid. 5 minutes later. Meliodas. And the end to gather the 7 deadly sins Elizabeth travels with me to gather us all, in addition to both Issei and Xenovia, and also Akane and Tatsumi are our friends who also help us in our goal. Diane. Sorry for doing that, Captain, I always rush things. At that Diane would approach Elizabeth and Xenovia and Akane and tell them. Diane. So you have no relationship with the captain, right? Elizabeth. No of course not. Xenovia. I loved another boy. Akane. Same here. Issei's mind. Dreg. Luckily you were saved from that giant's blows. Issei. You're right Dreg. Out of Issei's mind. Meliodas would say. Meliodas. You and I don't have that kind of relationship either. Diane. Cree. Meliodas. Besides, I already said that Elizabeth only helps me, and as for Akane and Xenovia together with Tatsumi and Issei, they also help with this. That's what Diane would say. Diane. Fine, I'll help you, but let me be very clear, princess, I'm only doing this for the captain, just for old time's sake. Elizabeth. Yes. Diane. And as for you too, I'm sorry for hurting you. Issei. Don't worry, we're fine. Tatsumi. It's a good thing we have great resistance, otherwise we would already be dead. Diane. But what are their full names? Issei. Oh well my completed name is Hyodo Issei. Xenovia. I am Xenovia the 4th. Akane. My name is Akane Murasame. Tatsumi. Why yo mi lamo Tatsumi Hijikata. Diane. Nice to meet you, I'm Diane the Envy Snake. Here everything would happen the same as in the original story until when Gilthander is about to cut Meliodas, but in that Gilthander would be sent flying since he received a strong blow from Issei. Gilthander. Boy, you look strong, Chico, but I still don't think you can beat me alone. Issei. Yes I can beat you alone, but I don't want to do it. Tatsumi. Hey Issei, can I join the party and take down this holy knight? Issei. Of course Xenovia, you and Akame stay with Diane and Meliodas, we will take care of this holy night. Xenovia. Understood, but be careful Issei. Akame. I say the same, be careful Tatsumi. Meliodas. Don't underestimate him because he's strong. Issei Tatsumi. Entendido. Tatsumi. Ready to fight Gilthander. Gilthander. I'm ready to see them die. So the three began to fight where Issei and Tatsumi had the advantage against Gilthander, but in that Tatsumi and Issei would move away and Gilthander would say. Gilthander. Wow, you two are so strong, I can even say that you surpass me. Tatsumi. Hey Issei, I'll show you something incredible that will leave you surprised. At that Tatsumi would raise his sword and the following would happen. Author's note. Just focus on Tatsumi's transformation. End of note. Everyone would look in amazement at what just happened. Gilthander. What the hell just happened? Issei. That armor is incredible Tatsumi, but where is your sword? Tatsumi. This is the ability of my Tigu Incursio, it gives me armor and also this. So Tatsumi would take out his giant spear, while Diane Meliodas and Xenovia would be surprised and Xenovia would say. Xenovia. It looks like it's Issei's balance breaker. Akame. You mean that ability that Issei told us he has? Xenovia. That's right. Diane. This is amazing, I think they can win more easily now. Meliodas. Say Tatsumi, you can see that he is someone strong. Back in the fight. Issei. Not bad friend, but you are not the only one who has armor. Tatsumi. I know that and now I would like to see that armor you spoke of. Issei. Well I will do it since this way we finish this guy quickly, ready Dreg. Dreg. I'm always ready, mate. The following would happen. Everyone would be amazed to see Issei's armor. Tatsumi. Amazing, your armor looks amazing. Issei. Haha I know. Gilthander. Even if you have those armors, I'm not going to lose to you. So Gilthander would launch himself against Issei and Tatsumi, but they would begin to hit him. Issei increased his power, while Tatsumi hit Gilthander with his spear, and Gilthander was running out of strength, so to end this Tatsumi would give Gilthander a strong punch in the stomach that would make him spit blood, and Issei would launch a dragon shoot at Gilthander, causing him to fall into Diane's hand, which would send him flying away. After that, Issei and Tatsumi's armor would disappear, and then the two would bump fists. Then Hawk and Elizabeth would arrive and say. Elizabeth. What happened here and the Gilthander? Meliodas. Don't worry, Issei and Tatsumi took care of him. Hawk. Oh how bad, and I wanted to see them in combat. Tatsumi. It will be for the next Hawk. Akame. Now that we're done, we've found one deadly sin, but the others are still missing. Meliodas. Don't worry, I know where to find the next deadly sin. Now we have to go to the Bastille prison. Xenovia. Some proof. Meliodas. They say there's a prisoner there who for some reason doesn't die when they execute him, so I'm sure it's Ban the Fox of Greed. Issei. Well then let's go to the Bastille prison. Diane. Listen, but I want you to tell me about the four of you. Xenovia. Don't worry Diane, we'll tell you everything on the way. Diane. Okay. So everyone would leave for their next destination, which is the Bastille prison, to find the next deadly sin. Chapter 5. The Sin of Greed and the Necropolis. Previously our protagonists had arrived at the Forest of the White Dream, where they searched the entire forest, and after a small incident with some creatures called Hidden, they managed to find a deadly sin, and that was Diane the Snake of Envy after meeting, and after an incident with a sacred knight called Gilthander who attacked them, but Tatsumi and Issei would manage to defeat him easily. Now our protagonists head to the Bastille prison, where they will find another deadly sin that will happen. Now discover it. Everyone had already left the Forest of the White Dream, and everyone was walking to their next destination, the Bastille prison. That's what Diane would say. Diane. Look at this, Captain, I look prettier than before, right? Meliodas. Well, I don't know, you tell me. Akame. It seems that she likes to flirt with Meliodas. Tatsumi. That's a little strange. Issei. But for now, let's focus on finding the next deadly sin. Xenovia. It's true, who knows what abilities she will have. That's what Diane would say. Diane. Hey guys, you told me you were going to tell me about yourselves, so you could tell me about the four of you. Issei. Well, okay Diane, but first, let Tatsumi and Akame tell you about them. Tatsumi. Well, you see, first of all, the four of us are not from this world. Diane. Kwee. Meliodas. It's true Diane, they are not from this world. Akame. Well now we will tell you about our world. So Akame and Tatsumi would tell Diane about their world, about what the Tigus are, the imperial capital, the corruption of the country, that they were part of a group of assassins called Night Raid, until when Tatsumi defeated the emperor's Tigu, and Akame told about her battle against Esded, leaving Diane impressed. Diane. Wow, that sounds incredible but a little sad, but the good thing is that apparently fate gave them a second chance at life. Became. That's right and we won't waste it, right Tatsumi? Tatsumi? That's right. Diane. Well Issei Xenovia, tell me about yourselves now. Issei. Well that's fine. So Issei and Xenovia would tell Diane about their world, the factions, the sacred gears, the sacred swords, the celestial dragons, until the battle against the Trihexa, the betrayal of the girls, and the death of Rias, leaving Diane very impressed again. Diane. What happened to you is also very sad, but the good thing is that you are here with us now. Issei. You're right. Diane. Hey Issei, can I meet the dragon inside you? Issei. Well okay, hey Drag, someone wants to meet you. At that the boosted gear would appear. Drag. Hello Miss Diane, I am Drag the Red Emperor Dragon. Diane. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Drag. Drag. The pleasure is mine. Here everything would happen as in the original story until the boys arrive at the Bastille prison. Meliodas. I'm sure it's here. Diane. Captain, I don't think that guy wanted to lie to me after the beating I gave him. Issei. I just hope it's here. And that Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi together with Meliodas, Diane and Hawk would enter the Bastille prison just like in the original story. They would put a barrier around the entire Bastille prison while inside the following would happen. But the video at minute 045. After what happened, everything proceeded as in the original story until when the boys would arrive at the town where the necropolis is. Author's note. Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi would have already told each other everything about their respective worlds by the end of the note. Issei. So here is that place called the necropolis. Meliodas. That's right. Tatsumi. I still don't understand why the necropolis would be in this empty town. Meliodas. The necropolis is hidden from people in towns like this. Here is an entrance that will lead us. Akame. And what do we do? Meliodas. Well, for now you and Diane are in charge of bringing in clients. Xenovia. I'm not in for Diane doing that. Akame. Same here. Meliodas. Well, fine, well you three and I will look for the entrance to the necropolis, okay. And. It's fine by me. Issei. Me too. Tatsumi. Well, if we split up, we'll have a better chance of finding the entrance. So everyone would split up to look for the entrance to the necropolis while Diane screamed. Diane. Come in, come here, we have drinks and delicious food and a beautiful giant girl who will greet you, so come closer to the wild boar stew. Akame. She's a crazy boar hat. That's what Diane would say. Diane. I hope to see King soon. Xenovia. Are you okay Diane? I see you a little sad. Akame. Something bad is happening. Diane. Well, I'll tell you since I trust you both even though we've only known each other for a few days. So Diane would tell Xenovia and Akame about what she experienced with King, about the promise to always be by her side, that he would always love her no matter what happened. Akame. But I don't understand why if you love King, why did you flirt with Meliodas? Diane. I only do it so I don't feel so sad every time I remember King because I love him, but I don't have the courage to tell him if I ever saw him. Xenovia. You have to tell him what you feel for him, I'm sure he feels the same for you, and Akame and I will be supporting you, right? Akame. That's right. Diane. Thanks girls, but could you tell me something? Xenovia. What would it be? Diane. Tell me Xenovia, you love Issei and you Akame, you love Tatsumi, right? And don't lie to me because I can see it on your faces. Akame. Fine, we'll tell you, and for my part, I tell you that I do love Tatsumi, but just like you, I don't dare tell him what I feel for him. Xenovia. For my part, I love Issei, but I don't dare to tell him all my feelings towards him. Diane. Well, you have to do the same thing I did, tell them what you feel about them. Xenovia Akame. You're right. Diane. Hey, but tell me about how you met Issei Xenovia and you Akame, how you met Tatsumi. Xenovia. Well, first you see, before becoming a demon, I was sent by the church to find the sacred swords Excalibur, and there on that mission I met Issei, but shortly after, Kakabiel arrived, a very strong fallen angel that fortunately Issei was able to defeat, but seeing his great determination and great power left me very impressed, in fact, I even asked him to have a child with me. Akame. Wait a minute, that means you asked Issei for a child, but why did you do it? Xenovia. Well let me continue, well that's why I wanted to have a more feminine dream, having a child and starting a family, but for the moment Issei told me that it was not yet the time, and then several adventures happened, and little by little, I was falling more in love with Issei, until the day of the battle against Trihexa arrived, where Issei gave it his all, and managed to finish off Trihexa, with the help of Vali Lucifer, the bearer of the White Emperor Dragon. But Issei was left in a coma, and then when he woke up, that's what happened. The girl's betrayal and also the death of President Rias. Akame. So that's how you met Issei. Xenovia. That's right. Diane. How nice, but I still feel like you exaggerated a bit in asking Issei for a child. Xenovia. I know, but that was my will, and I'm sure God ouch. Became. Hey, are you okay, Xenovia? Why did you say ouch? Diane. Your head hurts. Xenovia. Well, you see that demons like me are a little affected when they mention that word, since it gives us a huge headache. Diane. What word is that word that I understand those who are from churches say, the will of the Lord? Xenovia. Ouch. Became. Yes, it is definitely that word among others that have to do with the church. Diane. And tell me, Akame, why don't you tell me your story now and how you met Tatsumi? Akame. Well, I don't know what to say since I don't think you're going to like my story. Xenovia. Come on, Akame, tell us about your story please. Elizabeth. I would also like to know about you, Miss Akame. At that, the three of them would turn around and see Elizabeth. Diane. Hey Elizabeth, since when are you there? Elizabeth. Since Miss Xenovia told how she met and fell in love with Lord Issei. Xenovia. Haha, don't call us that, Elizabeth, besides we are not that old for you to call us gentlemen. Elizabeth. Sorry haha. At that, Akame would sigh and then say. Akame. Okay, I'll tell you my story. Diane. Yes, tell us. Akame. Well, you see, before belonging to the Revolutionary Army I was part of the government and I was training to become a soldier, but I wasn't alone, my best friend accompanied me, but I consider her my sister, her name is Kurum. Diane. That sounds nice. Xenovia. Same here. Elizabeth. Continue, Miss Akame. Akame. Well, Kurum and I always trained, but one day I discovered what they wanted to do to me and my sister and all the children who were there were going to catch me, but I ran fast and on the way I found this sword that is now my Tigu. I grabbed Kurum and we tried to escape together, but they managed to catch Kurum and they knocked me out. Then when I woke up that's when I met General Najenda and I also met Lubbock, someone who I consider a brother. I joined Night Raid and since then I am an assassin. Elizabeth. It's very sad what happened. Xenovia. And what happened to Kurum? Akame. Well, I'll tell you, you'll see, some time later I met Kurum again, but she had joined the Jaegers. One day I had a confrontation with her, since only one of us could stay alive, and I ended up killing Kurum, but it still hurt me a lot to do it, like you have no idea. At that Diane would grab Akame and hug her. Diane. Calm down, Akame, now you can tell us about how you met Tatsumi. Akame. Well, about that, you see, I met Tatsumi one day when Night Raid had a mission, and that was where I met Tatsumi. Later he joined us where despite what would happen, and despite the deaths of our companions, he continued fighting no matter what I went through. His great determination and bravery made me fall in love with him. We even made a promise that we would survive no matter what happened, but you already know what happened next, we both died, but even so. I will not waste this second chance to live. Xenovia. That's how you talk, friend. Diane. You have great determination, Akame, and that's amazing. Elizabeth. Yes, Miss Diane is right. Akame. Haha, thank you very much, girls. Here the same thing would happen as in the original story until the boys reach the place where the entrance to the necropolis is. Author's note. I don't know the names of the children who brought the 7 deadly sins to the entrance of the necropolis, haha, end of note. Child. This is the entrance to the necropolis. Meliodas. Well, it's time to go in. Issei. I asked him what the necropolis would be like. Tatsumi. I asked myself the same question. And that the boys would be transported to the necropolis, but before disappearing the girl would scream. Girl. Be very careful, friends. Thus the boys would disappear, but just like in the original story, King would manage to enter the necropolis entrance in time. While nearby there were 2 people lying on the ground who were a blue-haired boy and a black-haired girl. The girl suddenly woke up and this girl was none other than Kurum. At that Kurum would say confused. Kurum. But how is it possible that I can still breathe and move? I'm not supposed to have died in my sister Akame's arms. And that Kurum would see her katana, which is her Tigu Yatsufusa, and that Kurum would grab her Tigu, but she would also see that there is another sword which she would recognize, and that is the Tigu of her best friend and secret love Wave the Grand Chariot, and that Kurum would say. Kurum. But this is Wave's Grand Chariot, but what is it doing here? At that, Kurum would turn to look behind her and see that there was the owner of Grand Chariot, her friend and secret love, Wave. This would leave Kurum surprised, and then she would start to move Wave while saying. Kurum. Wave, wake up, Wave, it's me Kurum, wake up. At that point Wave would begin to wake up and would stand up and then say. Wave. What happened where I am? Kurum. Wave, you're alive, what a relief, I thought you were dead. And that Wave would see Kurum and he would be surprised and he would say. Wave. Kurum, it's really you, I'm not dreaming, right? Kurum. No, you're not dreaming, it's me. That Wave would hug Kurum tightly, which surprised her and also made her blush, but she would reciprocate the hug, but then Wave would say. Wave. Forgive me Kurum, if it weren't for me you wouldn't have died, I'm really sorry. Kurum. Calm down Wave, nothing's wrong, but there's something I'd like to know, and one is where we are. Wave. Well, I have no idea about that, but what's the other thing you want to know? Kurum. What happened after I died? Wave. Ah, well, about that, you see, after you died, I was sad about what happened to you, but then the Emperor activated the Supreme Tigu and began to destroy everything, but I think Tatsumi was right, we were on the wrong side. Kurum. You're right, we were both on the wrong side, instead of being on the good side, we were on the wrong side, but tell me what happened next. Wave. Well, you see, I saw Tatsumi fighting against the Emperor's Tigu, but I saw that Tatsumi was being outclassed, so I decided to help him, so we both fought against the Emperor's Tigu, but he was invincible, and I couldn't do anything. After that, I saw that Tatsumi was able to finish off the Emperor's Tigu, but he died. After that, I don't know what happened since I decided to leave, but then I was intercepted by soldiers from the Imperial Palace. I was going to defend myself from them, but they injured me severely and left me lying on the ground. I closed my eyes and ended up dying, but what I don't understand is how I'm still alive, and how you are too. Kurum. Well, I don't know that either, but let's find out where we are, by the way. At that Kurum gives Grand Chariot to Wave, and he would take it then they would start walking, and they would see two children they were going to go see them, but they saw that a woman with an armor approached who was Gila, and just like in the original story Gila would find the way to enter the necropolis Wave, and Kurum would see that Gila had stood there without doing anything at that Wave and Kurum would approach the children. Wave. Hey kids, are you okay? Child. Hey, who are you? Are you perhaps holy knights? Kurum. We don't know what a holy knight is, but whatever it is we are not. My name is Kurum, and he is Wave. Girl. Wait a minute, brother, look at the sword she has. Child. It's true, it looks like the sword that Miss Akame has. Kurum. Wait, did just Akame? Child. Yes, why? Wave. She's here too. Girl. Wait a minute, you know Miss Akame? Kurum. Well, she is my friend, but I consider her my sister, but tell me she is here. Child. Not only is she there, but she is accompanied by a brown-haired boy with emerald eyes. I think his name is Tatsumi. Wave. That's impossible, Tatsumi is dead. Kurum. Well, if you and I died and now we are alive for some strange reason, it is obvious that the same thing happened to Tatsumi, but tell me kids, there is someone else who is also with my sister. Girl. Mr. Issei and Miss Xenovia are also there. Child. They know them too. Wave. Actually, we don't just know Tatsumi and Akame, but tell me who that woman is and what she wanted to do to you. Kurum. And besides, why doesn't it move? Child. Well, all she wanted was to get to the necropolis and she did. That's why she can't move. Kurum. Excuse me, but could you explain to us what the necropolis is? Girl. Well, you see, the necropolis is a place where the souls of the dead can go and rest in peace. Wave. Wow, wait a minute means that the souls of people who die arrive at that place. Child. That's right. Kurum. Changing the subject, do you know where we can find my sister Akame Tatsumi? Girl. Yes, in fact, they, along with our other friends, entered the necropolis. Wave. But you don't have to die to get in there. Child. Actually, we were the ones who teleported them to the necropolis since we can do that. Kurum. And they think they can teleport us to the necropolis because if that woman is there, it means that it's possible that my sister is in trouble with Tatsumi. Wave. That's why we want to be teleported to the necropolis, please. Child. Sure, we'll teleport you to the necropolis. Just stand in the center of there and leave the rest to us. At that Wave and Kurum would stand in the center and suddenly a light would cover them and they would be about to be transported to the necropolis, but before the girl would say. Little girl. Be careful if you meet that holy knight. Child. Come back safely. Wave. Kurum. We will do it, don't worry. Thus Wave and Kurum would be transported to the necropolis. What will happen now? Will Wave and Kurum find Akame and Tatsumi in the necropolis? How will it be when everyone meets Wave and Kurum? Find out in the next chapter. Chapter 6. Battle in the necropolis and the search for Diane's sacred treasure. Previously our protagonists met Ban the Fox of Greed and at the same time they arrived at the place where the necropolis is located to find the next deadly sin, and Akame and Xenovia told a little more about them after that the boys would be transported to the necropolis, but apart from that Wave and Kurum had appeared in that world, where after seeing how a holy knight managed to enter the necropolis, Wave and Kurum asked to be transported to the necropolis to find Akame and Tatsumi, so the children transporting them to what will happen now. Find out. In the necropolis. Our protagonists were there, Meliodas, Elizabeth, Hawk and Diane looking for Ban and King, since once they got there, Ban had quickly run away, being followed by King, and that's what Diane would say. Diane. Where have those two gone? Meliodas. I hope they're not fighting like when we found them. Issei. Wow, the necropolis looks great. Tatsumi. You're right, it looks like it's a peaceful and quiet place. Xenovia. I asked if this is really where souls come from. Became. I hope so too. Hawk. Well, we still have to focus on finding those two idiots. Elizabeth. I hope we don't lose them here. Meliodas. Don't worry, we won't miss that, you can be sure of that. Meanwhile, on the other side of the necropolis, Wave and Kurum would appear and they would see everything around them. Wave. Wow, so this is the necropolis those kids told us about. Kurum. There is a lot of green here and it will also be difficult to find my sister and Tatsumi. Wave. Hey Kurum, look over there. At that moment Kurum would look in the direction Wave was pointing and would see two subjects, one running and the other flying. Kurum. What the hell, does the guy who was flying have a Tigu? Wave. I don't know, but just in case, let's follow them. Kurum. Understood. So Wave and Kurum would follow the subjects. Meanwhile, our protagonists continued searching for Ban and King, but suddenly they heard a voice. Unknown voice. Wow, I didn't expect to find them here, deadly sins, and with other people. Became. Who said that? Suddenly a huge fireball would go against everyone, but luckily they would manage to dodge it. Issei. But what the hell, who launched that attack? At that the boosted gear would appear. Dreg. Made up there. Everyone would look where Dreg said and would see a woman in armor who was Gila. In that, just like in the original story, Elizabeth and Hawk would go far away from the fight while the boys stayed to fight, and just like in the original story, Diane and Meliodas would be overcome by Gila, but in that, Tatsumi and Issei would get into a fighting pose. Gila. Well, so you're going to face me, I'd like to know your names. Issei. Yo soy Hyodo Issei. Tatsumi. Why yo soy Tatsumi Hijikata. Gila. Okay Issei and Tatsumi, show me how strong you are. At that Issei and Tatsumi would begin to fight against Gila, but she used her explosive fire attacks to hit Issei and Tatsumi, but they still did not give up on that. Issei would come up with an idea and would say. Issei. Tatsumi tengo you no idea. Tatsumi. I'm listening. The following would happen. Put the video at minute 052 until minute 116. At that Tatsumi saw that Issei's gauntlet had changed shape, this would leave everyone impressed, especially Gila. Gila. What the hell, that gauntlet just changed shape. Tatsumi. Hey Issei, what happened to the boosted gear? Issei. This is like an evolution of the boosted gear, it is the Dragon Booster second release consists of what the boosted gear changes form. Tatsumi. That's amazing. Gila. No matter what you've done, they still won't be able to beat me. Issei. Well, look at the following. Hey Meliodas, launch an attack with your sword at me, don't worry, nothing will happen to me. Meliodas. Sate, it's okay. At that point Meliodas' sword would begin to shine purple, and at that point Meliodas would scream. Meliodas. Great purgatory cut. Author's note. An attack on Meliodas that I made up at the end of the note. At that point, the cut would be directed at Issei, but he would absorb the attack with the boosted gear, and then he would hear Dreg's voice. Dragon. Transfer. At that Issei would hit the ground, and a million purple rays would come out of the ground, and Eagle with some difficulty would manage to dodge the attack, after that he would throw an explosion that would send Issei and Tatsumi flying, when seeing that Xenovia and Akame got angry. Xenovia. Hey you damn girl. Gila. What's going on? Xenovia. Now you will face us. Akame. It won't be easy for you to defeat us. Gila. We'll see. And that they would get into a fighting pose while in another part everything would happen like in the original story until when Ban leaves and King stays talking to Elaine, but in that the following would happen. King. You travel with Captain Meliodas. Elizabeth. That's right. At that point a loud explosion would be heard. King. What the hell was that? Elizabeth. It must be that holy knight who is fighting against Meliodas Sama and the others. King. I better go help them, but first, I know they're hiding there, come out. Wave and Kurum would come out of the rocks. Wave. Since when do you know we're there? King. Since I petrified Ban. Kurum. And why didn't you say anything? King. I just didn't want to. And that Elizabeth would see Kurum and would see her katana and would see how almost similar it was to Akame's Tigu. Elizabeth. Hey Hawk, have you seen that girl? She has a katana that is almost similar to Miss Akame's. Hawk. That's true. Elizabeth. Hey, who are you? King. That's right, please present yourselves. Wave. Well, my name is Wave. Kurum. And I am Kurum. King. Nice to meet you, I'm King. Elizabeth. Wait a minute, you said your name is Kurum. Kurum? Why do you know me? Elizabeth. It's that your sister Akame told me about you, but she supposedly told me that you were dead. Kurum. Seriously, my sister, if you know her, tell me where she is. Elizabeth. He's over there, he's probably fighting that holy knight. Kurum. Hey King, please take us there. King. Okay, just follow me everyone. All. It's okay. Meanwhile in the fight Eagle was being overtaken by Akame and Xenovia, but they were starting to get tired. Bila. What's happening? Have you reached your limit? Xenovia. Of course not, right Akame. Akame. That's right, we haven't lost yet. Then King would arrive and Diane would be happy, but then everyone would see the King was accompanied by a black-haired girl and a blue-haired boy, but Akame and Tatsumi would recognize who they were. Tatsumi surprised. It's you Wave. Akame. And Kurum. Bila. Who are you? King. Fine, and you two will take care of her. Wave. Calm down, we can fight her, right Kurum? Kurum. No. At that Kurum would take out his Tiguyatsufusa, and at that Kurum gave off a dark aura, and I would say. Kurum. You damn dared to hurt my sister Akame, now you really buried your grave because I will kill you. Wave. We will be the ones to defeat you. At that point Wave would take out his Tigu Grand Chariot and the following would happen. Put the video at minute 014. In that you could see Wave with his armor. Everyone would be impressed to see Wave's armor. At that point, Wave and Kurum would begin to fight against Gila, where despite launching her explosive fire attacks, she was unable to harm Wave and Kurum, and both would hit Gila hard many times until she was unconscious. At that point, a great light would cover everyone, and they would return to the empty town. At that point, Akame approached Kurum. Akame. Kurum, is it really you? Kurum. Yes, haha, hello sister. At that point they would both hug each other. At that both Akame and Kurum would start to cry. Akame crying. Please Kurum, forgive me, I shouldn't have killed you, please don't hate me for that. Kurum crying. Sniff, don't worry sister, Sniff, it's my fault, I should have realized sooner that I was on the wrong side, please forgive me Sniff. Akame. Of course I forgave you Kurum, since you are my sister and now we can be together and never separate again. Kurum. You're right, sister. That's what Tatsumi would say to Wave. Tatsumi. I never thought you'd be here. Wave. You owe me an explanation of how you're still alive and what this place is. Tatsumi. And you have to explain to me how you came to this world. Wave. Wait a minute, you said this world, what do you mean by that? Tatsumi. Long story, I'll tell you later. In that, just like in the original story, they would leave Gila tied to a tree and then everyone would be in a lake and what happened in the original story would happen, only here King would not scold Meliodas since he did not sell his sacred treasure, that's what King would say. King. By the way, Captain, who are these four boys? Wave. That's right, hey Tatsumi, who are those two who are with you and Akame? Tatsumi. They are our friends. Issei. That's right, my name is Hyodo Issei. Xenovia. And I am Xenovia the fourth. Tatsumi. Wei no King yo mi lamo Tatsumi Hijikata. Akame. And I am Akame Murasame. King. Nice to meet you, but could you tell me about yourselves? So Issei and Xenovia would tell King Wave and Kurum the same thing as the other deadly sins, leaving them impressed. King. So you come from another world where demons, angels, fallen angels, yakes, and Norse gods and celestial dragons exist. Wave. It's a little hard to believe, but I still believe them. Kurum. Me too. Afterwards Akame and Tatsumi would tell King the same thing as the other deadly sins, where he was greatly impressed. King. A world where there is corruption, I didn't expect that. Wave. Well, believe it since Kurum and I come from the same world as Akame and Tatsumi. Tatsumi. By the way, I already gave you an explanation of why I'm alive and how I came to this world with Akame. Now it's your turn to tell me how you came to this world and how Kurum is alive. Akame. I'd like to know that too. Wave. Well, first of all, about how Kurum is alive, well I guess it was the same thing that happened to you and Akame, they died and ended up in this world. Issei. It makes a bit of sense. Tatsumi. You're right, but tell me how you got here, Wave. Wave. Well, you see, after I saw you die while stopping the Emperor's Tigu, I decided to leave, but some guards from the Imperial Palace intercepted me, and I was going to defend myself from them, but they ended up killing me, and well, I think the same thing happened to me as to you, Akame, and Kurum. Tatsumi. Well, that does make a lot of sense. Meliodas. Well, we should go to sleep since tomorrow we will go to Vasil to look for Diane's sacred treasure. All. Understood. Author's note. The sins would have already told Wave and Kurum everything about their world, end of note. Already at night, Wave was on a hill that was close to where the boar hat was. Wave was looking at the starry sky when someone approached, and that was Kurum. Wave. Oh hi Kurum, can't you sleep or what? Kurum. Well, the truth is I'm not sleepy, but tell me what you're doing here. Wave. Well, I was here looking at the starry sky since it's something relaxing to do. Kurum. I can accompany you. Wave. Sure, why not? At that moment Kurum would sit next to Wave and both would be looking at the starry sky, but Kurum would get a little nervous and then say. Kurum. Wave, there's something I want to tell you, but I want to tell it this way. Wave. Well, tell me, I'm sure it's nothing bad. At that Kurum would gather her courage and kiss Wave on the lips. Wave would be surprised and blush, but then would reciprocate Kurum's kiss and after a few seconds would separate from the kiss. Wave blushed. Cuckoo Kurum, why was the kiss? Kurum blushed. Well, you see, since I met you, you became a bit of a fool to me, but even so, your always positive attitude and how you always sought to protect me made me fall in love with you, because I love you. Wave. Wave. You know Kurum, I also feel the same way about you, but I never dared to tell you because I thought you would reject me, but I also want to tell you that I love you too, Kurum. Kurum upon hearing that would kiss Wave again and he would kiss back and then say. Wave. Kurum, would you like to be my girlfriend? Kurum. Yes Wave, I want to be your girlfriend and I will always be with you no matter what happens. So they would both kiss again and then return to the boar hat and sleep. The next morning everyone was surprised since Wave and Kurum literally told everyone that they are now a couple. The most surprised were Tatsumi and Akame, but after that Diane would hit the ground hard and would say. Diane. That's not fair, why do I have to stay and take care of the tavern? Meliodas. Don't complain, what happens is that years ago a giant entered the town and everyone was scared. Since then we will return when we have your sacred treasure. Diane. I'm not going to be bored. Issei. Don't worry, Miss Elizabeth will be with you. Xenovia. So you won't be bored. Tatsumi. Well, now that that's cleared up, we should go. Akame. It's true, we have to recover Diane's sacred treasure. Here what happened in the original story would happen, only instead of Diane lunging at Meliodas, she fell on top of King. Seeing that, Xenovia and Akame told the others that they had to leave King and Diane alone, so everyone would leave, leaving King and Diane alone. King. So now what? Diane nervous. King, I have something to tell you and I hope you accept it since you promised me. King. It was the only thing he could say since Diane had kissed him on the lips and then Diane said. Diane. When you were with me you promised me that you would love me forever, but I could never tell you my feelings towards you, but now I can tell you King I love you. King would have been surprised, but then he would say. King, I remember that promise I made you, but I didn't dare tell you my feelings for you, but now I can tell you that I love you too Diane. So they would both kiss again and then become a couple. Author's note. We'll skip to when Diane finally recovers her sacred treasure, end of note. After what happened in Vasel, everyone would leave there tired from the battle against the Holy Knights Gila, Jericho, and Helbram. Meanwhile in the world of High School DxD. 4 days had already passed and in those days, Sona told Serafel what happened with Issei and Xenovia and the death of Rias. Meanwhile Surziches had created a portal since about 2 days ago. Surziches felt the power of Issei and Xenovia, but they were outside of that world, so Surziches was able to create a portal that would take him to that world and before entering he would say. Surziches. Damn Issei, you and Xenovia will die this time, I will be the one to finish you off. So Surziches would enter the portal disappearing from there, but he didn't realize that someone was watching him outside his office and that was Azazel with Volley. Azazel. Shit, he managed to create a portal, I just hope Issei and Xenovia managed to finish him off. Volley. Please Azazel, Issei has already faced Shalba Vilsebu and Rizabum, it is obvious that he could also face Surziches. Azazel. You're right, but we have to go quickly. Volley. Understood. So Azazel and Volley would leave. Chapter 7. The Sin of Lust. Gother appears. Previously our protagonists had had a confrontation against a sacred knight named Gila and Tatsumi and Akame were in for a surprise since Wave and Kurum had appeared and both managed to defeat Gila. Wave and Kurum had appeared with the deadly sins and with Issei and Xenovia and now King is back in the deadly sins after Wave and Kurum had said that they loved each other and they both became a couple. Then they would all go to Vasel to recover Diane's sacred treasure and there Diane confessed her feelings to King and he also confessed his feelings for Diane and they both became a couple after a long fight against the sacred knights. They would all leave Vasel while in the world of High School DxD. Surziches created a portal that would take him to the world where Issei and Xenovia are and he would enter the portal and disappear. What will happen now, find out. The next morning everyone was outside talking about what happened in Vasel. Issei. I asked him why Meliodas lost control of his power. Tatsumi. you're right, he went crazy to the point that he almost destroyed all of Vasil. Xenovia. The good thing is that she returned to normal and nothing bad happened. Ban. You're right, because if the captain continued like this he would have completely destroyed everything. Became. But I'm still wondering who that holy knight was who gave King such a good beating. King. Don't remind me of that anymore, Miss Akame. Wave. And now what do we do? Kurum. I guess we have to find another deadly sin. Diane. Indeed Kurum, if we don't find the rest, it may be that the holy knights can defeat them. Ban. Ha, I doubt it very much, besides we have Issei and Xenovia, also Akame and Tatsumi, and that's despite the fact that they have great power. Wave. And where did Kurum and I meet? King. It's true Ban, don't forget about them too, remember that they also have great power. Ban. Yes whatever sorry. At that the boosted gear would appear. Issei. Something's wrong, Dreg. Dreg. I will only motivate the sins. King. What are you talking about, Mr. Dreg? Dreg. Listen to me, you are strong too, don't feel weak, it's up to you to save the Lion's Kingdom, so you have to give it your all no matter what happens. For example, look at my partner, in our world he was weak before, but even so he became stronger until he was at the level he is now, so you also have to be strong and remember that we are here to help you. Ban. Wow, a celestial dragon gave us motivation, I didn't expect that. King. If you're right, Mr. Dreg, we have to be strong and give it our all. Diane. Yes we will. Issei. Wow Dreg, that was very motivating. Dreg. Haha thanks mate. Tatsumi. Hey, where are Meliodas, Elizabeth and Hawk? Became. They are inside the tavern. Issei. I just hope he's not doing his nonsense. Dreg. I highly doubt it, mate. Meanwhile inside the tavern the following was happening. Author's note. Imagine Diane isn't asleep end of note. Ban. Now that we become captain. Meliodas. Ban, you and I together with King will look for monsters to kill and then cook them. Ban. Okay this is going to be fun. King. And just the three of us will do that. Meliodas. I'm not going to need Issei, Tatsumi and Wave either. Issei Tatsumi Wave. And why us? Meliodas. It is not obvious that his abilities will help us. Tatsumi. Well I will do it since I am experimenting in killing beasts. Wave. I say the same to you, Issei. Issei. Well I have killed rogue demons so that is considered killing beasts, so I will do it too. Meliodas. Well that's how you talk. Diane. And we are the captain. Meliodas. Simple, you guys stay and take care of the tavern while Elizabeth and Hawk return. Diane Xenovia came Kurum. Got it. So the six would retreat while the girls waited there. Meanwhile in another place there was a certain red-haired man who was apparently looking for something, and this red-haired man was none other than Surziches. Surziches. I'm sure this is where they told me that seal was that would release those 10 commandments, but well I will keep looking, and then I will find a way to get a body for the demon king of this world, and that way everyone will help me kill Issei and Xenovia. So Surziches would continue with his search. Meanwhile with Issei, Tatsumi Wave, and Meliodas Ban and King, they were looking for large beasts, but the three sins had been impressed by the ways in which Issei, Tatsumi, and Wave killed the beasts. Meliodas. Wow, you guys are good, I could say better than us. Tatsumi. Haha it's not that bad. Issei. It's true, besides, you are also strong and good at killing beasts. Wave. That's true. King. Well guys, I think we should go back to the tavern since we have the beasts. And. Nah, let's stay a little longer resting, after all we deserve it. Meliodas. Yes, I support Ban. The boys would only have an anime style sweat drop. Meanwhile in the village Elizabeth and Hawk were looking for some food for the tavern, but the following would happen. And after that the following would happen. After all that, Elizabeth and Hawk would return to the tavern where they would meet Diane, Xenovia, Akame and Kurum. Elizabeth. Hi girls, we're back. Xenovia. How did it go? No one recognized you. Hawk. Well there was someone who knew about us, but luckily I don't tell anyone. Akame. That makes us happy. Elizabeth. Hey Mr. Meliodas and the others. Diane. They went to look for beasts to cook. Hawk. At least they have something good to do. After that, what happened in the original story would happen. But Xenovia and Akame had heard everything. Xenovia. So Liz asked me what happened to her. Akame. Only Meliodas knows that and I doubt very much that he wants to tell us what happened to him. Meanwhile with the others they were separated looking for more beasts to kill, while Ban and King and Wave were elsewhere, while Meliodas and Issei and Tatsumi were looking for more beasts, but in that Issei would say. Issei. Hey Meliodas, are you okay? Meliodas. Yes, why do you ask? Issei. I feel like you're hiding something from us and I'd like to know what it is. Tatsumi. I'd like to know too. At that Meliodas would sigh and then say. Meliodas. I'll tell them but I don't know, please tell Elizabeth. Issei Tatsumi. Understood. So Meliodas would tell Issei and Tatsumi about his and Elizabeth's curse and what happened in the ancient holy war, leaving Issei and Tatsumi very impressed. Issei. That means your father the Demon King put that curse on you. Tatsumi. And the supreme deity put that curse on Elizabeth to die and always reincarnate and die again if she remembers everything. Meliodas. That's right and that's why I already know how to break the curse, but I don't want to do it yet, I'll do it when the time is right. Issei. I understand and don't worry Meliodas, we won't tell Elizabeth anything. Tatsumi. We promise. Meliodas. Thanks guys. Then everything would happen like in the original story, only here Meliodas would have his sacred treasure and Liz's sword, but just before trying to destroy the armor, the following would happen. Issei. Wow. Tatsumi. I think so. After that the fight would happen like in the original story until when the Sins are celebrating the return of Gothar and that Gothar would see Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and would say. Gothar? Who are you? Issei. Well I am Hyodo Issei. Xenovia. I am Xenovia the Fourth. Akame. My name is Akame Murasame. Tatsumi. And I am Tatsumi Hijikata. Gothar. Nice to meet you and who are those two? Akame. Well, they are my sister Kurum and her boyfriend Wave. Wave Kurum. Nice to meet you. After that, Issei and Xenovia would tell Gothar about their world, about the factions, the sacred gears, the sacred swords Excalibur, and the celestial dragons. Later, Tatsumi and Akame would tell about their world, about the imperial capital, the revolutionary army, that they are part of a group of assassins called Night Raid, about the Tegus and the deaths of their companions. Gothar. Your worlds are very interesting, but I still want to know why you are here. Issei. It's not obvious, we're also helping to find the other deadly sins, and we'll also help Miss Elizabeth to finish off the Holy Knights. Gothar. Interesting your determination is very good as is Tatsumi's. Meliodas. Well, we better go rest since tomorrow we must continue on our way. All? Yes. By night everyone was asleep. But Issei went out to the lake and sat on the shore of the lake. Greg. Partner you have. Issei. I don't know how to tell Xenovia how much I love her, I don't know how. I love her very much and I don't know how to tell her. But Issei wasn't realizing that someone heard what he said and that was Xenovia who was blushing and happy and she would approach Issei and hug him from behind surprising Issei. Issei. Xenovia, did you hear what I said? Xenovia. Yes, I heard it and I love you very much too, Issei, you are the only one who has won my love and you are also the only boy that I will always love. And that Issei and Xenovia would give each other a tender and passionate kiss while the stars illuminated them and that they would separate due to lack of air and then Issei would see a magic circle from which he would take out a guitar. Xenovia. Issei and that guitar. Issei. I had written this song for someone I loved and that's you I hope you like it. At that Issei would begin to sing the next song. When the song ended, Xenovia had tears of happiness in her eyes. Issei. I wrote this song with all my love for you because I love you Xenovia and that is why I still want to marry you like I wanted to do in our world you know. Xenovia crying. Issei I love you too and I also want to marry you but you don't mind that it's just me. Issei. No, because I promised President Rias that I would be happy with you and that's why I don't care if it's just you. Also, remember that you're the only one who didn't betray me and that's why I want to be with you and make my life here with you. Xenovia. Issei I love you. Issei. And I love you Xenovia. Then they both kissed again, showing the great and true love they had for each other. Meanwhile, Tatsumi was on a hill thinking about how to tell Akame that he loves her, but in his hands, he had a guitar that Issei had given him. Tatsumi. Issei taught me how to play guitar, but I still don't know how to tell Akame what I feel for her and she doesn't feel the same way about me. At that Tatsumi felt that someone was hugging him and was surprised to see that it was Akame. Tatsumi. Akame what are you doing here? Akame. I came here because I have something to tell you and it's something I couldn't tell you before because I didn't feel safe, but now I can. And that Akame had kissed Tatsumi on the lips, which surprised Tatsumi and made him blush, but he would reciprocate the kiss and then separate. Akame. I loved you Tatsumi, I fell in love with you since I met you, but I never dared to tell you what I felt for you. Tatsumi. I love you too Akame, I also fell in love with you, but I didn't dare to tell you my feelings towards you, but now I can do it and with something I learned. Akame. What are you talking about? And by the way, what about that guitar? Tatsumi. Just listen. At that Tatsumi would begin to sing a song he wrote for Akame. When the song ended, Akame was surprised and at the same time had tears of happiness. Tatsumi. I wrote that song for you. In it I say that I will always love you until the end of the world. Became. Tatsumi, I love you too, and I will love you until the end of the world. Thus, they would both kiss again, showing the great love they have for each other. And this is how our protagonists are with their respective girls whom they love. Meanwhile, in another place was Surziches in front of what appeared to be a grave. Surziches. With the body that is here, I will be able to bring the demon king of this world to help me kill Issei and Xenovia, and apart from that, those 10 commandments will also help me. Thus Surziches would begin to create a magic circle in the tomb, and a great brightness would appear to later show the demon king with his new appearance. At that, the demon king would say, surprised. Demon king. But how do I have this appearance, and why do I feel like I've regained some of my power? Surziches. That's thanks to me. Demon king. And who are you? Why do I feel a demonic aura in you? Surziches. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Surziches Gremory. I come from another world where there were also demons, but there were also angels, fallen angels, yokai, and Norse gods. I am the current demon king in my world, but I traveled to this world because I am looking to kill someone just like you. Demon king. Is he your son or something, since I want to finish off my stupid son Meliodas? Surziches. Well, actually he is someone I respected, but I no longer wanted him to marry my sister, but when I thought I had killed him and another person who was with him, I felt his power here in this world, so I came here to kill him. Demon king. And what is his name? Surziches. His name is Hyodo Issei, the bearer of the Red Emperor Dragon, better known as Sekiryuutei. Demon king. I see, and I must assume you brought me back so I could help you kill him. Surziches. That's right, since I feel that he is with your son Meliodas, and if you and I join forces we can kill them both, and tell me if you are interested. Demon king. Well done, but now I'm going to need the 10 commandments, except for my other son, Zeldris. Surziches. And why is that? Demon king. I don't need him since he is still weak and also still has feelings for a vampire, and that's why I don't need him, the other commandments will suffice. Surziches. Well then, take me to their prison. I think with my magic power I can return all their power. Demon king. Okay, follow me. Thus the two would go to where the 10 commandments are sealed. Meanwhile, in the world of High School DxD in the dimensional gap, Office and Grand Red could be seen walking since they had recently become a couple, but suddenly they both feel the power of Surziches and another very powerful power. Author's note. Office will tell Big Red network of affection, end of note. Office. But what the heck, who owns this red power? Red. I don't know, but he is in another world, but there is also Surziches power in that world. Office. Do you think it's the world where Issei fell with that Xenovia girl? Red. If so, I will try to create a portal to that world, since we must warn Issei about this. I will need your help. Office. Of course, love. So both would begin to try to create a portal to the world where Issei and Xenovia were, while both said worriedly. Office read. Issei, we hope nothing bad happens to you. Chapter 8. The kidnapping of Elizabeth and the liberation of the 10 commandments. Previously, our protagonists, after what happened in Basel, were hiding, and after some things Meliodas told Issei and Tatsumi about his curse and Elizabeth's curse, which left Issei and Tatsumi impressed. Then the sin of lust Gother would appear. After that, Issei would tell his feelings to Xenovia and with a song, and while that happened, Tatsumi told Akane what he feels for her also with a song, so that Issei and Tatsumi are together with the girls they love. While that happened, Surziches managed to revive the Demon King and with a new body, and they both decided to work together, and then they would go towards the seal of the 10 commandments. While in the world of High School DxD, Office and Gran Rojo had felt what Surziches had done, and so trying to create a portal to try to warn Issei. What will happen now? Find out. The XD world. Meanwhile, at the occult club, Kiba and Gasper were waiting for Azazel to return with Volley, since Azazel hadn't returned for a while. Gasper? It's taken too long, don't you think, Kiba? Kiba? If it's true, it's taken a long time, what are you doing? At that, a magic circle would appear on the ground from where Azazel would come out together with Volley. Azazel. Sorry for the delay, but we were watching Surziches and discovered something. Kiba. And what is it about? Volley. Apparently he managed to create a portal that will surely take him to where Issei and Xenovia are. Gasper. That's bad, now what we do? Kiba. It's true, Issei may be in danger. Azazel. I don't know, but tell me and the girls. Gasper. Well, we discovered that they were apparently controlled. Kiba. And our deduction is that Surziches had to be responsible. Volley. That makes sense. At that, a magic circle would appear in front of the boys, and they were Big Red and Office. Red. Hey, can you hear us? Azazel. Loud and clear. Gasper. He is Big Red and Office Ama. Office. Aside from what you said, Azazel, Surziches released someone with great demonic power in that world where he went, so we're trying to create a portal to try to warn Issei. Kiba. And they succeeded. Red. No, not yet, but we're working on it. In the meantime, you guys should look for Surzich's queen, her son, and her parents, and let them know what Surzich's did. Ollie. Understood, we'll take care of that. Good luck. So the magic circle would disappear, and then Kiba, Gasper, Azazel and Volley would go and do what they had to do. Meanwhile in the world of Nanatsu no Taizai. It was still night and Issei and Xenovia were still near the lake and both were looking at the stars while holding hands. Issei. This is the best thing, seeing the stars next to the girl I loved. Xenovia. If it's true, I also like being next to the boy I love. Issei. Don't you think we should go and get some sleep? Remember we still have to find the last of the deadly sins. Xenovia, you are right, but. At that point Xenovia would get on top of Issei and he would get nervous. Xenovia. I would like to sleep with you and you know. Issei. You are safe. Xenovia. Yes, I'm sure. Also remember that almost all of us girls fight a lot to see who would be your first time, and now that it's only me, I want to be your first time. Issei. That's fine, but we'll have to put up a noise barrier just in case. Xenovia. I like the idea. So both would go back to the tavern where upon arriving they would go up to Issei's room where they would then put up a noise barrier so that no one would hear anything and so that night both would give themselves body and soul where they would promise to always be together and take care of each other. Author's note. Remember that in my Yashahime Princess Half Demon X High School DxD fanfic, I explained that I don't write anything about Lemon since I'm not one of those fanfiction fans who describe these scenes, end of note. After that happened meanwhile Tatsumi and Akame would continue on the hill watching the stars while they were hugging. Tatsumi. Don't you think it's good to see a white moon and not a red moon? Akame. Well, in part I really like seeing the red moon, but now seeing one of that color is new. Tatsumi. I know but I think we should go to sleep now. Akame. You're right, but I wanted to ask you something. Tatsumi. And what is it? Akame. Edo, well now that we are a couple I would like to know if yes you would like to do it with me. Hearing that Tatsumi would blush a lot, but he would say he was nervous. Tatsumi. This is fine, if you want I'll do it, after all there's no problem. Upon hearing that, Akame would become very happy and grab Tatsumi to take him back to the tavern. Upon entering, they would go to Tatsumi's room where, luckily, there was a noise barrier, since a few days ago Issei and Xenovia had said that they could make noise barriers, and the Deadly Sins had asked them to put one in Tatsumi's room, in case he snored too loudly. In that, a good time would pass where Tatsumi and Akame on that night, like Issei and Xenovia, they too gave themselves body and soul, and would also show each other how much they love each other by falling asleep. The next morning Hawk's mom was on the move, and while Diane followed her step and the following would happen. That's what Meliodas would say. Meliodas. We're not going to look for anything else. Come closer and I'll tell you what it is. At that the three would approach and Meliodas would whisper to them. Meliodas. I felt the power of the Demon King last night so without waking Elizabeth I concentrated more and indeed it is the power of the Demon King he is back. Both King, Ban and Gother were impressed by what Meliodas said. Meliodas. But there's something else. King. And that he is a captain. Meliodas. I felt that the Demon King was not alone, I felt that next to him was a demonic aura that I don't know. Ban. Whose will it be? Meliodas. I have no idea. Then Wave and Kurum would arrive and they would say. Wave Kurum. Good morning guys, oh and good morning to you too Elizabeth and Hawk. All. Good morning. Hawk. Hey, neither Issei nor Xenovia have woken up. Kurum. My sister didn't want to go into her room and wake her up either, but I didn't. Wave. Tatsumi hasn't gotten up either, this is weird. Meliodas' thoughts. Meliodas Chibi. I think I know the reason why those two couples don't wake up haha. Out of your thoughts. Elizabeth. Meliodas Sama doesn't think it's a good idea to wake them up. Meliodas. He doesn't let them wake up on their own. Wave. Hey, I have a question. Hawk. Which would it be? Wave. Well, I wanted to know if we were heading towards where the last members of your team are. Meliodas. We don't really know where they are so we just head somewhere else. Wave. Oh I see. Kurum. By the way Elizabeth, why does Hawk say you are the third princess of the Lion's Kingdom? Are there two other princesses? Elizabeth. Actually, if they are my two sisters, they are also princesses of our kingdom. Kurum. Oh I see, it's interesting. The good thing is that there is no corruption here. Wave. That's good. King. By the way, you two haven't told us what abilities those Tigas have, for example, Tatsumi and Akame already told us about their Tigas' abilities, but you haven't. Gother. I'm curious too. Ban. Yes, especially that the Wave Tigu resembles Tatsumi's. Kurum. Well, first you will see my Tigu is called Yatsufusa. It is a katana that gives me the ability to bring dead bodies back to life and turn them into an army, and what you saw when we were in the necropolis, that is why all of Yatsufusa's aura was concentrated within my body. Both are. It's very interesting. King. Although I'm surprised by this thing about bringing dead people and turning them into an army of the living dead. Meliodas. What can you tell us about your Tigu wave? Wave. Well, my Tigu is called Grand Chariot. It gives me the ability to have armor almost the same as Tatsumi's but different. And. Wow, that's very interesting. Meanwhile in Issei's room he was sleeping next to Xenovia while she was sleeping peacefully on Issei's chest. At that point, Issei would wake up and see Xenovia and he would start to move her. Issei. Xenovia wakes up, it's already daytime. Xenovia. 5 more minutes Issei-kun. Issei. The 5 minutes awake have already passed. At that Xenovia would wake up and she would give Issei a passionate kiss and he would reciprocate and then get up and both start to dress. Meanwhile in Tatsumi's room he would be sleeping next to Akame, only that both were very close together and Akame slept peacefully on Tatsumi's chest. Akame would wake up and see Tatsumi and then give him a passionate kiss and when doing that Tatsumi would wake up and he would reciprocate the kiss and then separate. Akame. Good morning Tatsumi. Tatsumi. Good morning Akame. Hey, I think it's better if we go downstairs, otherwise they'll start wondering why we haven't woken up. Akame. You're right. At that, the two would get up and get dressed, after that they would leave the room and at the same time Issei and Xenovia would leave Issei's room. At that, the four would see each other and then greet each other and then go down to where everyone was talking. Issei Xenovia came to Tatsumi. Good morning everyone. All. Good morning. Meliodas. Listen, why did you get up until now? Issei. Well, that's why we didn't feel like getting up. And. Wow, how lazy. Tatsumi. Look who's saying it. At that the boosted gear would appear. Issei. And now what happens Dreg? Dreg. What's up, you didn't let me sleep yesterday, so what? Issei nervous. Dreg don't say it. Dreg. Oh he's sorry it's just me being silly. Meliodas chibi. I think I know what you were going to say haha. Issei. Anything else you want to tell me, Dreg? Dreg. Yes, mate, something is coming. Issei. And what is it? Suddenly a portal would appear, something that would surprise everyone, but Issei and Xenovia were the most impressed. Behind the portal, a voice would be heard that was Office. Office. Issei are you there answer? Issei. You are here. Office. Yes, it's me, Issei, but tell me that Xenovia is with you. Xenovia. Yes, I'm here Office-sama. Brad. Well since you're there listen to me carefully Brat Surziches created a portal that would take you to the world where you two fell, but apart from that we feel that Surziches released someone with great demonic power and we believe that someone Surziches released him for sure to kill you too, so we made this portal to warn you. Issei Xenovia. We understand. Office. Be very careful. At that the portal would disappear and at that Tatsumi would ask. Tatsumi. Hey Issei, who were the ones talking? Issei. They were the ones I told you about, Office Ouroboros and Great Red, 2 dragon gods. Tatsumi. Of them. Wave Kurum. Wait, you said dragon gods. Became. So that guy called Surziches is here in this world for sure. Xenovia. It seems so. Issei. Anyway we can face him, we won't lose. Meliodas thoughts. Meliodas. Did that Surziches guy free my father? Out of your thoughts. Before anyone else could say anything else, a woman with a helmet on her face would appear, who was the sorceress Vivian. In that, just like in the original story, Vivian would take Elizabeth and Hawk, thus annoying Meliodas. Issei. Calm down Meliodas we will go save Elizabeth don't worry. Tatsumi. And we'll save Hawk too. King. They are right, Captain. If we all work together, we will be able to save the princess. Meliodas. Sate you're right guys. At that everyone would feel a demonic power and Meliodas and the other deadly sins would know who it was. Wave. Hey guys, what is that power? Kurum. There are too many. Issei. Dreg you feel it. Dreg. Yes, I'm sorry. Meliodas seriously. They are them, he should have freed them. Tatsumi. Who are you talking about? Became. We don't understand you. Xenovia. Wait a minute, they're not who you told us about. Issei. Ah, that's right, you're talking about. Meliodas. Yes, they are the 10 commandments. Meanwhile with Surziches and the Demon King, they had already released the 10 commandments. Demon King. They're finally back. Surziches. So those are the 10 commandments. Demon King. That's right. Author's note. Ignore Dreyfus end of note. Bereri. What the heck, we're free. Windspeed. Not only that, but we also regained our power completely. Esterasa. Interesting. Melascula. Hey, look ahead. At that the commandments would see the Demon King and Surziches, and all the commandments would kneel before the Demon King. Gloxinia. Great Demon King, it's an honor to see you again. Brawl. So you set us free. Demon King. In reality, he was the one who introduced them to Surzich's Gremory. He comes from another world and in that world he is the current Mao Lucifer. Commandments. Nice to meet you Surziches Sama. Surziches. It's a pleasure. Demon King. Zeldris come closer. At that Zeldris would come closer and say. Zeldris. What's up, father? Demon King. I don't need you anymore. I wanted to use you to bring your brother back, but I don't need him anymore, nor do I need you since you're weak, since I found out you fell in love with a vampire. Zeldris surprised. How did you know about Zelda? Demon King. You think I'm stupid and you thought I wouldn't realize it. Now that I know you still have feelings for that vampire, I don't need you anymore, since Esterasa is enough for me and the other commandments. At that point, the Demon King would launch a powerful attack at Zeldris, sending him flying and crashing into several rocks, leaving him on the ground badly injured. Demon King. Listen to my commandments, we will go to finish off the traitor Meliodas, but we will also go to kill someone who is looking for Surziches and who is with the traitor, have you understood? Commandments. If Demon King. Demon King. Then let's go, it will take us a while, but we will get there and we will finish off the traitor Meliodas, so follow me. Thus the remaining commandments along with Surziches would begin to fly leaving Zeldris very wounded, but before he became unconscious I would say. Zeldris. I should have listened to you years ago Meliodas, forgive me brother, and forgive me Zelda too. So Zeldris would be unconscious. Chapter 9. The battle against the Holy Knights begins. Previously in the world of High School DxD Great Radin Office had already told them what Surziches did in the other world, well in the world of Nanatsu, no taizai Issei and Xenovia would have a passionate night and the same would happen with Akame and Tatsumi, since they would also have a passionate night, then Meliodas would tell Ban. King and Gothar about what he felt the power of the Demon King released then Wave and Kurum would explain a little more about their Tigas and after that in a portal on the other side Great Radin Office would notify Issei and Xenovia about the situation that Surziches was there, thus both understanding, then Elizabeth and Hawk would be kidnapped by a holy knight, after that everyone would feel a very strong demonic power and that is because of the 10 commandments meanwhile the Demon King would tell Zeldris that he did not need him, thus leaving him unconscious. What will happen now find out. Everyone would have gone outside the tavern to think of a way to get to Lions and save Elizabeth and Hawk until. Meliodas. I think I have an idea, but I'm going to need your help Diane. Diane. Tell me, Captain. Meliodas. Do you think you can throw Ban and Gothar at me, but also Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum? Diane. I think so. Meliodas. Well, they are ready. Ban. Yes, they are. Gothar. Me too. Issei. I'm always ready for anything. Xenovia. I'm ready too. Akame. Besides, it's about saving Elizabeth and Hawk. Tatsumi. And we won't let them get away with it. Wave. What Diane is going to do is totally crazy, but I'm ready anyway. Kurum. I'm ready too. King. We'll catch up with you later. In the meantime, do what you have to do. All. Understood. And that Diane would grab Meliodas, Ban, Gothar, and also Issei, Xenovia, Akame, Tatsumi, Wave, and Kurum. Diane. Well good luck and bring Elizabeth and Hawk back to safety. At that Diane would throw everyone at maximum speed making them go very fast. Meanwhile in the Kingdom of Lions, just like in the original story, Hendrickson and Dreyfus would be fighting until the guard informed them that the deadly sins were approaching. And at the main entrance a meteorite would fall, and the Holy Knights would see that they were the deadly sins, but they would also see Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum. Holy Knight 1. And who are those? Holy Knight 2. Perhaps there will be other deadly sins. Holy Knight 3. What does it matter, let's just attack. The following would happen. But the Holy Knights would rise, but Issei would say. Issei. They are not going to give up easily then we will take care of it, ready Xenovia love. Xenovia. List. At that Issei and Xenovia would begin to attack. Issei used Ascalon Dragon Slayer, while Xenovia used Durandal against the Holy Knights. At that Issei had an idea in mind. Issei. Xenovia, you and the others, step back. I thought of something to finish off all those Holy Knights. Xenovia. What are you going to do? Issei. You'll see. At that Xenovia and the others would back down. Meliodas. What the hell is Issei doing? Ban. I know he's strong, but I don't know if he's thinking of doing something stupid. Xenovia. You'll see what happens. At that Issei would activate his balance breaker. Then Issei Gratoria. Issei. Mode change Welsh Blaster Bishop. Breg. Change Fang Blaster. At that Issei would charge a lot of energy and then scream. Issei. Take this Dragon Blaster. Thus the Dragon Blaster would quickly finish off the Holy Knights, leaving them wounded. Seeing what Issei did would leave everyone with their mouths open. At that Issei would deactivate his balance breaker and then see the others. Issei. Something happens. Anne. What the hell did you do? Issei. Long story, I'll tell you later, for now let's get in. Just like in the original story, Arthur Pendragon would arrive in the Kingdom of Lions, accompanied by two-headed people and an army. Meanwhile, the Deadly Sins and the others decided to separate in order to reach the castle faster. Meanwhile, King and Diane were on their way to the Kingdom of Lions. Diane. Hey King, do you think everyone is okay? King. Calm down, besides there are Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and also Wave and Kurum with them, I'm sure they'll be safe. Diane. You're right, but I have a question. How will we ever get to Lion if we continue at this rate? King. Now that you mention it, it's true. The couple would start thinking about that until. King. I have an idea. Diane. And tell me which one it is. King. Watch and see. The following would happen. At that King would turn around and say. King. I can't do it, Diane, I don't want to touch you because I respect you, that's why I don't want to do it. Diane. King, just do it, if not I'll get stuck in Oslo's mouth, just do it please. At that, King would give a great sigh and then say. King. Well, I'll try to make you go through the mouth of Oslo completely, get ready. And that King with all his might would push Diane so she is being swallowed completely by Oslo. King. Okay, now I just have to fly fast to Lions. And that King would go at maximum speed towards Lions. Here what happens in the original story would happen until Gothar saves Gila. And the following would happen. Before Dreyfus left, Gilthander was going to help him, but someone would appear and that was Kurum, who gave off a dark aura. Gilthander surprised. You, who the hell are you? Kurum. It doesn't matter who it is, but all of you hurt my friend Diane and you will pay dearly for it. Hauser. And who is that girl? I don't remember seeing her. Gila. I do know who she is. I confronted her in the necropolis, but I wasn't alone. Then Wave would appear with his armor. At that point, Wave would give Gilthander a huge blow that would send him flying. Wave. Kurum, are you okay? Kurum. Haha, don't worry about me, I'm fine. At that moment Dreyfus would try to escape, but suddenly a sword would fall from the sky and stick right in front of Dreyfus. Dreyfus. What the hell, and that sword? Wave. We have to go help the others. Kurum. That's true, anyway we'll take care of those two holy knights, my sister will take care of that one. At that Wave and Kurum would leave while Dreyfus was going to leave, but suddenly Akame would fall from the sky and she would grab her sword Murasame. Dreyfus. Who the hell are you? Akame. I am Akame Murasame and with the poison of my Tegu, I will make whatever is inside you come out. Dreyfus. What do you mean? At that Akame would quickly cut Dreyfus and he would fall to the ground but suddenly he would start screaming. Hauser. What the hell is wrong with Master Dreyfus? Bila. I have no idea. From Dreyfus's body a large giant figure would emerge, it was none other than a fraud, one of the 10 commandments. Prodran. Damn insolent brat, how did you know I was inside this guy? Akame. I had a feeling about that, but you're no match for me and now I'll finish you off commandment. And that Akame would cut her hand and a dark aura would begin to cover it until she suddenly opened her eyes and they were red and black and that is why Akame had activated her trump card. Akame. This will be quick and effortless. Prodran. Damned wall. At that point, Akame, at high speed, would begin to cut Fragrant several times, who was unable to defend himself. Prodran. Evil damned. Akame. This is over, Prodran. At that Akame would split Fragrant into 1,000,000 pieces and she would see Fragrant's commandment and cut him into pieces. Akame. It's incredible, I'm not tired, it seems I've already mastered my trump card, it seems I've gone far away from where Diane and Gothar were, I better go there. Meanwhile the following would be happening. That's what Diane would say. Diane. It wasn't any of them King, in fact they tried to help me, please don't blame them King my love. At that point King would start hitting Hauser until King would calm down and the following would happen. Afterwards everything would happen as in the original story until King kills Helbram. At that King would approach Diane and say. King. Diane, forgive me for not arriving on time. Diane. Don't worry about that King, so you know how to get a little closer. At that King would approach and Diane would kiss King and he would kiss back. Then Akame would arrive and see everyone. Diane. Akame, what happened to you, why do you have that color eyes? King. I must assume that's your Tegu's trump card, right? Akame. Exactly. Hauser. Can someone explain to me what's going on? Became. You see, Princess Elizabeth was kidnapped and we came to save her. Ila. I understand. King. We have to go with the others. All. Understood. From here everything happened as in the original story until when Meliodas faced Vivian, Hendrickson and Gilthander. Then it would happen that Meliodas would destroy the monster that was with Margaret, Elizabeth's sister, then Gilthander would take care of Hendrickson. That would bring Issei and Xenovia and Kurum and Wave and Tatsumi closer. Issei. I guess everything is fine now, right? Meliodas. Something like that. The same thing would happen as in the original story, only not only would Merlin be there, but she would also be accompanied by Escanor. Xenovia. Who are they? Meliodas. The last deadly sins, Merlin the boar of the bull and Escanor the lion of pride. Issei. Tatsumi. Wave. Incredible. Later everything would happen like in the original story but in that way. Merlin. Well Captain, tell me who they are. Escanor. It's true, I feel a great power within them. Meliodas. It's a long story, but for now we have to go for Elizabeth. Merlin. Then let's not waste time. At that Merlin would snap his fingers and everyone would appear in front of a door. Issei. Incredible, we were able to transport. Xenovia. And without the need for a magic transport circle. Wave. But where the hell are we? Margaret. We're outside my father's room. Meliodas. Okay, everyone back off. Merlin. It won't work, Captain, this room is protected. Kurum. What do you mean? Merlin. What protects that room is the perfect cube, it's a spell from the demonic world, no matter how hard you try or how many attacks you launch, it's impossible to break. Escanor. Not even I can break that cube. Meliodas. By the way Escanor, it's good that you're in your form again, I'm glad about that. Escanor. Thank you Captain. At that point, an idea came to Issei's mind. Issei. I have an idea, but I need you to back off. At that everyone would back down. Xenovia. Issei, what are you going to do? Issei. I know Azazel forbade me from using it, but I have to try. Tatsumi. I don't understand what you mean. Issei. You'll see, dragon. Greg. Understood, mate. At that Issei would activate his balance breaker, but everyone would be surprised to see that Issei had a white gauntlet, but Xenovia would be worried since she knew that white gauntlet was the dividing gear. Issei. Well, I hope I don't get hurt that much, now let's use the power of division. Greg. Understood, mate. Then that Issei with the power of the dividing gear would make the perfect cube disappear. Issei. I can still move, it seems I managed to master its power. Greg. Congratulations, mate. At that point, everyone would enter the room and the same conversation from the original story would happen. Afterwards, Escanor and Merlin, along with Arthur Pendragon, would take King Bartra to Camelot, but before leaving. Meliodas. Hey Merlin and Escanor, what will you do next? You'll return to the 7 deadly sins. Merlin. I think we will, right, Scanor? Escanor. Sure, but for now, see you later. So both together with King Bartra and Arthur would leave later. Issei. Well, for now we have to continue with this battle. Xenovia. Exactly. Tatsumi. Hey, Wave and Kurum know where Kame is. Wave. Well, he stayed where Diane was. Tatsumi. I have to go find her. Kurum. Well, we'll go with you. Issei. It's true, besides, Kame is our friend. Xenovia. That's why we'll go with you. Tatsumi. Thank you. Meliodas Chibi. It's either that or you want to go save your girlfriend. Tatsumi. Wah. Meliodas. Haha, I am the expert in knowing about romance, I also know that Xenovia became Issei's girlfriend. Issei. Kwee. Xenovia. You're a damn busybody. Meliodas. One last thing is that you, Tatsumi, had hex with Kame last night. Wave Kurum. What a kwee. Tatsumi nervous. Unhappy busybody who perhaps doesn't know how to respect privacy. Issei. And as you knew, I remember I put a noise barrier in Tatsumi's room before. Meliodas. I have my tricks just like I used my tricks to find out that you Issei had hex with Xenovia. Issei. Xenovia blushing. You're a damn bastard. Meliodas. Ha 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 ha, this is really funny. The others who were there would only have a drop of an I'm-style sweat come out. At that, Elizabeth was going to say something, but the following would happen. Meliodas. Hey guys, are you okay? Issei. Yes, we are fine. Xenovia. And that Master Dreyfus. Gilthander. He got away. Wave. It had to be. Tatsumi. Now what do we do? Kurum. Well, now look for the others and my sister. Then everything would happen like in the original story, but just before Ban gave the final blow to Meliodas, he would start to laugh. Everyone would look at Ban in confusion. Meliodas. What's funny? Ban. Ha 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 ha, oh Captain, you are very stupid, you fell for our joke. Meliodas. Our joke. Hawk. Ha 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 ha, that's right, and as Issei said once, it's my revenge spanky. Meliodas. Explain to me. Man. You see, Captain, I don't have to kill you to revive Elaine, but rather someone else, but the teacher decided to play with you a little, so I made you believe that I had to kill you, and it was very funny, haha, haha, right, teacher, haha, 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 haha. Hawk. That's right, I can't believe you fell for the joke, haha, haha, haha. Meliodas chibi. Haha, well, because of his stupid joke they left me hurt, and also I have to go get Elizabeth. Hawk. Well then I'll take you there. Meliodas. Thanks, Hawk. Later, what happened in the original story would happen until when Meliodas and Hawk arrive where Elizabeth is. Author's note. Dreyfus didn't die here, only Hendrickson sent him flying away, end of note. The following would happen. Author's note. Pretend that Meliodas has his sacred treasure, end of note. Later everyone would discover that Hendrickson had a red demon corpse, but before saying anything Hendrickson's arms would be cut off by Akame and Tatsumi, but Hendrickson would simply put his arms back on. Hendrickson. You idiot brats won't be able to beat me easily. Tatsumi. That's what you think. Akame. And now what do we do? Tatsumi. Leave this to me. Hey Wave and Issei, I'm going to need your help, support me. Wave. Of course. Issei. Hagamaslo. Akame Xenovia Kurum. Be careful. Hendrickson. You guys are so stupid, you're no match for me. Issei Tatsumi Wave. We'll see. At that Issei would activate his balance breaker. At that Tatsumi would activate his raid armor. Wave would then activate his grand chariot armor. Author's note. Put the wave transformation from minute 0:15 to minute 0:27, end of note. Hendrickson was surprised to see the boy's armor, but without being able to move quickly, Issei joined with Tatsumi and Wave to give Hendrickson a great blow that would make him fall underground. Issei. No, we weren't rivals for you. Tatsumi. It was just a stupid lie of yours, Hendrickson. Wave. How silly. Meliodas. We have to go down there, he might still be alive. Ban. Haha, then let's not say anything else, let's go. Then everything would happen as in the original story. Hendrickson would have absorbed the power of the Grey Demon and then would leave everyone out of combat. After an attack by Hendrickson, he would try to kill Meliodas, Elizabeth and Hawk, but the attack would be destroyed by a strong dragon blaster from Issei, only that he had a cannon on his arm. Hendrickson. So you're going to face me. Issei. That's right, Hendrickson. Tatsumi. We won't let you kill any more people. Xenovia. Your sins lead you to certain death. Akame. And this will be the place of your grave. Wave. We will be the ones to finish you off. Kurum. And you'll regret everything you've done. Hendrickson. Don't make me laugh, you're nothing against me. The following would happen. Author's note. Ignore Hawk since he was saved thanks to Issei, end of note. Afterwards Elizabeth would have healed everyone with her goddess power and then she would fall tired. Hawk. Hey Elizabeth, how did you do that? Elizabeth. I don't know, I have no idea. Meliodas. Hawk, get away from here, we'll take care of it. Hawk. Understood. At that Hendrickson would stand up and say. Hendrickson. Don't think you've defeated me, I'll finish you off. And that the deadly sins together with Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum would put themselves in front and Meliodas would say. Meliodas. We are the 7 deadly sins, and together with our friends Issei Hyodo, Xenovia the 4th, Akame Murasame, Tatsumi Hijikata, and Wave and Kurum, we will be the ones to defeat you. At that point, everyone would get into combat stance to start fighting Hendrickson. Meanwhile, minutes before Elizabeth awakens her right eye of the goddess in a forest, we can see Zeldris sitting in a tree unconscious until she begins to awaken. Zeldris. Where am I? Because I'm in a forest. On that. Wow, I thought you wouldn't wake up. At that, Zeldris would turn around and see a woman in a general's outfit. This was none other than Esdith. Zeldris. Who the hell are you? Esdith. Let me introduce myself, I'm General Esdith, it's a pleasure to meet you. Zeldris. What the hell do you want? You're going to kill me. Esdith. If he wanted to kill you he would have done it already, don't you think? Zeldris. You're right, but tell me where you come from and why I feel a great power within you. Esdith. I already said it, I am General Esdith, well I was the general and about that great power within me, that is my Tegu. Zeldris. Tegu? What's that Tegu? Esdith. Don't you know she's a Tegu? Zeldris. Well, no, I've never heard of that. Esdith. Zeldris true. Zeldris. So it happens. Esdith. It may seem crazy, but this may not be my world. Zeldris surprised. That is not your world, you are trying to say that you are not from this world. Esdith. If you see it that way, yes. Zeldris. Listen to me Esdith, I want you to tell me about your world and I'll tell you about mine. We have a deal. Esdith. Okay, well, you'll see. At that Esdith was going to say something, but she remembered Tatsumi and what happened in his battle against Akame, and that's what she would say in her thoughts. Esdith. It's true what Tatsumi told me, the Prime Minister and the Emperor were the enemy, but I was so stupid as to not listen to Tatsumi when he told me that day, and that's why I ended up dying, in addition to losing the only man who won my heart and my love, but now that I'm alive, I will do the right thing, and I will not let myself be fooled again by corrupt people like the Prime Minister and the Emperor. Out of your thoughts. Zeldris. Hey Esdith, is something wrong with you? Esdith. No, calm down, well now I'll tell you about my world. And that Esdith would tell Zeldris about her world, about the Tegus, about the Imperial capital, about Night Raid, and that she was the captain of a group called the Jaegers, and about her battles until she was defeated by Akame. Zeldris. Wow, your world is amazing and a little crazy. Esdith. Yes, but everything I did was wrong. Zeldris. What are you talking about? Esdith. You see I met a boy named Tatsumi when I saw him, his great abilities, charisma and happiness made me fall in love with him, but he was part of Night Raid. I wanted him to join me, but once he told me that I was on the wrong side, but I didn't believe him even though he was a murderer I still loved him and that's why I didn't kill him, but I still kept doing stupid things for stupidity until that day, when the Emperor activated the Supreme Tegu. Tatsumi gave it his all and managed to finish off the Emperor's Tegu, but he died. That was when I had my fight against Akame and I lost. I wanted to say goodbye to Tatsumi, but Akame stopped me and I froze myself and died, but just yesterday I woke up and realized that I was still alive and that I still had my arm, but in that the only thing I could do was cry for the mistakes I made not having listened to the only man who won my heart and love. At that Esdith would be crying, but at that Zeldris would hug her to make her calm down. Zeldris. I'm not usually one of those guys who always show feelings, but before I did it with my beloved Zelda, but I tell you something, you're not the only one who did stupid things for stupidity's sake. Esdith. What are you talking about? Zeldris. Now it's my turn to tell you about my world, but first I'll just tell you that if you made those mistakes, the only thing you can do is change and do the right thing, and do it for that boy named Tatsumi. Esdith. You're right, I'll do it for my dear Tatsumi, but now tell me about your world. Zeldris. It's okay. So Zeldris would tell Esdith about his world, about all the clans that exist, about him being a demon, about the Holy War, about the 10 Commandments, until. Zeldris. As you told me what happened to you, now it's my turn. You see, many years ago I met a member of the vampire clan. Her name is Zelda. At first, it was my duty to kill her, but with the passage of time, I ended up falling in love with her. But that day when my brother betrayed the demon clan, I looked for my brother and found him. I was willing to make him change, but he told me those words. Flashback. Meliodas. I only recommend that if you truly love Zelda, don't disappoint her because sooner or later our father will turn his back on you. End of the flashback. Zeldris. I didn't believe him at all, but it was precisely today that my father turned his back on me and knocked me unconscious, and that's when I realized that my brother was right in what he told me, but. Esdith. But what? Zeldris. This time I will do the right thing and in fact I need your help. My father the Demon King was released and he gathered the other commandments and a guy named Serziches. They are going to where my brother is and I have to go help him, but do you think you can help me Esdith? Esdith. Okay, I'll help you save your brother, but where is he supposed to be? Zeldris. Well, I have no idea. At that point they would see a great glow in the distance. Esdith. What the heck is that light? Zeldris surprised. That light is the power of a goddess, which means it must be the goddess Elizabeth with whom my brother ran away. Esdith. Are you sure? Zeldris. I don't know, but I have a feeling. Wait a moment, if we can see that light from here, that means that my father and the commandments and that Serziches saw that brightness. What does it mean? Esdith. That they will go there. Zeldris. Exactly, I have to go but it's too far away. Esdith. Don't worry about that, it's just a matter of making a big ice path that will take us there. Zeldris. Then do it. And that Esdith would create a large ice path towards where the light is. Esdith. Now let's just go up and quickly, my ice will help us get to that place. Zeldris. Okay. At that, both of them would begin to move quickly along the ice path of Esdith. At that, Zeldris would say in his mind. Zeldris. Meliodas' brother resist, I'm going there and I'll help you since I'll do the right thing as you wanted and as Zelda also wanted it, but I ask myself who the hell is that Serziches looking for? So both would continue moving quickly along the ice path of Esdith to where the light is. Chapter 10. The Commandments, the Demon King, and Serziches appear. Previously our protagonists along with the deadly sins went to Lions to save Elizabeth and Hawk, where they all had many battles where came with her trump card, defeated Fraudrin one of the 10 commandments, whereafter they all continued fighting, but this time against Hendrickson who had obtained demonic power, and then things got complicated since Hendrickson became stronger with the blood of a grey demon, and then the deadly sins joined with Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum would be ready to start the battle against Hendrickson in another place. Zeldris woke up and met Esdet where they told each other about their worlds, where after seeing a goddess light Esdet would create an ice path where they both would go up and head towards, where the goddess light is what will happen now find out. Then the fight against Hendrickson. At that point, everyone would start hitting Hendrickson Meliodas, and the others would use the power of their sacred treasures, thus managing to hurt Hendrickson. Author's note. Here Meliodas, having his sacred treasure and Liz's sword, is stronger and puts up a better fight than normal, end of note. Then Akame joined Kurum, and they would give Hendrickson several cuts, managing to injure him a little, then Xenovia's Durandal would begin to shine, and that Xenovia would scream. Xenovia. Take this, big blue cut. Thus a large blue cut would be given to Hendrickson, and then Wave and Tatsumi would make several cuts to Hendrickson with their spears, and then Issei would scream with his balance breaker. Issei. Esme Turno mode change Welsh Sonic Boss Knight. Greg. Change Solid Sonic. So at great speed Issei would hit Hendrickson and then say. Issei. Mode change Welsh Dragonic Rook. Greg. Change Solid Impact. Issei. Toma Estu. So Issei would give a strong blow to Hendrickson sending him flying, but in that Hendrickson would counterattack leaving the deadly sins, Issei, Xenovia, Akame, Tatsumi, Wave and Kurum injured. Issei. Wow, he is very strong. Tatsumi. But we all have to do something or else we'll all die. Meliodas. I have an idea, Gothur, tell it to everyone. King. But Captain, Gothur is here. At that point everyone would see Gothur who was still moving, which would scare the kids. Gothur. Where are my glasses? Then that Gothur would find his glasses and then say. Gothur. Understood, Captain. King Issei Tatsumi Wave. Oh, what kind of person you are. In that, just like in the original story, everyone would start to launch their attacks at Meliodas, and then Issei would say. Issei. Well let's help too. All? Yes. So Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum would launch their strongest attacks, but in that the boosted gear would say. Greg. Explosion. In that, Meliodas' body would be covered by a green aura, and then Gothur would explain the same thing from the original story, and then say. Gothur. According to my calculations and thanks to the power that Issei transferred to you, your chances of surviving are 100%, Captain, good luck. Hendrickson. They think they're going to beat me, well, it won't happen. At that point Hendrickson would try to escape, but a barrier would not let him. Grimer. Gentlemen, allow me to help you in this fight. Hauser. Grimer. At that moment, Veronica, Elizabeth's other sister, would also arrive. Veronica. Hello Eli. Elizabeth. Veronica, it's you're alive. Veronica. Yes, it's a long story, I'll tell you later. At that point Hendrickson would break the barrier, but a white beam would hit Hendrickson. Dreyfus. I will also help despite what I did. Dilfinder. Maestro Dreyfus. Grimer. Father, you are here. In that, Meliodas would approach Hendrickson and then, with his sacred treasure and Liz's sword, launch counter-revenge on Hendrickson. Meliodas. And that is your sin Hendrickson. Hendrickson. No, it's impossible, I can't lose. And that before Hendrickson was about to disappear Issei would say. Issei. Mode change Welsh Blaster Bishop. Greg. Change Fang Blaster. Issei. With Meliodas' counter-revenge in this attack of mine, you will never come back Dragon Blaster. So the Dragon Blaster would hit Hendrickson and he would disappear forever, so the deadly sins together with Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum would win the battle. Just like in the original story, King Bartra would arrive and say the same thing as in the original story, and then everyone would be about to leave, but then a red sphere would be about to hit Xenovia and Akame. Everyone. Be careful Xenovia and Akame. Then that Issei and Tatsumi would have arrived in time and destroyed the sphere of power. Issei. Xenovia, are you okay? Tatsumi. Akame, are you okay? Xenovia. Akame. Yes, we are fine. Wave. Who the hell was that attack? Escanor. I feel something is approaching. Merlin. I'll get everyone to safety. Then that Merlin would create a perfect cube to fit everyone including Elizabeth and Hawk. Elizabeth. Meliodas-sama, please be careful. Hawk. Whatever happens, don't die. Meliodas. We'll be fine, don't worry. At that the perfect cube would be transported to Camelot. At that a magic circle would appear from which Surziches would come out along with the Demon King and the rest of the commandments. All the deadly sins. They are the 10 commandments. Wave. Well, I only see 8 commandments. Kurum. That's true. Became. One of the commandments was inside Dreyfus. I managed to get it out with a Murasum poison, and then with my trump card I killed him and destroyed his commandment. Meliodas. And what was his name? Became. Fraudrin, that was her name. Meliodas. I understand. Meliodas' thoughts. Meliodas. Did my father kill Zeldris? I just hope not. Out of your thoughts. Surziches. Issei finally found you, and now I can finish you off. Issei. That guy over there is the Demon King. Demon King. That's right, I'm a brat, and Surziches freed me along with the commandments to kill you, but taking advantage of the fact that my son is here, I'll kill him too. Meliodas. What did you do to Zeldris? Where is he? Demon King. I finished him off anyway, someone as weak as him didn't deserve to live. Meliodas. Damn. Balland. Haha, now we will finish you off, Meliodas. Esterasa. In addition to also finishing off that boy called Issei. Issei's thoughts. Breg. Dude, that gray-haired guy has something hidden. Issei. Que sera eso? Breg. I don't know, but if we take the writ out and destroy it, we'll know. Issei. Dragon entendido. Out of your thoughts. Bareri. And the others must be killed too. Moonspeed. I guess so. Surziches. Well, Issei, this time neither you nor Xenovia will be saved, this time you are going to die. And that a great barrier of ice would trap the commandments and Surziches and the Demon King. Issei. That's ice. Xenovia. Where she came from. Became. Wait a minute, that ice. Kurum. There is only one person who is capable of creating ice. Wave. And that's General Esdet. Tatsumi. But it's impossible, she's dead, you told me right, Akame. Became. Yes, but on this ice, there is no one else capable of doing that. But in that a voice would be heard. Voice. Everyone is fine. Voice 2. Brother Meliodas up here. At that point, everyone would look up and see that there was no one more, and no less than Zeldris together with Esdet, and then both of them would go down. Meliodas. Zel siegs vivo. Zeldris. Of course, but I should have listened to you years ago. Meliodas. It doesn't matter, now you're doing the right thing. The other deadly sins. Hey Captain, who is he? Meliodas. He is Zeldris, my brother, but I don't know who the woman is. Esdet. My name is Esdet, it's a pleasure. And that Esdet would see Tatsumi and would approach, but Akame would stand in front of her. Akame. Don't even think about it. Esdet. Listen to me, I know I made mistakes, but now I want to do the right thing, I want to do it for you, Tatsumi. Please, I want you to believe me. Kurum. How to know if you're telling the truth? That's what Dreg would talk about. Dreg. Listen to me, she's telling the truth. Issei. Really Dreg, she doesn't lie. Dreg. No, I can see his intentions and they are good. Zeldris. She found me unconscious and helped me, she told me what happened to her, and I can tell you just like that strange gauntlet that she is telling the truth. Became. Okay, if the Red Emperor Dragon of Issei says so, then I believe you. Esdet. Well, there isn't much time left for those guys to break my ice, so Akame, I can assume that Tatsumi is your boyfriend, right? Akame. How do you know? Esdet. Intuition, but now I want to do the right thing and be apart with my dear Tatsumi, so I propose this, could you share Tatsumi with me please? Yes. At that everyone would be surprised by what Esdet said, but Tatsumi was the most surprised. Tatsumi's thoughts. Tatsumi. She really wants to do the right thing, but now she wants to stay with me like before, but I don't know if I should reciprocate her feelings, since I didn't do it before, since it was Akame for whom I felt love, but for some reason I also felt the same for Esdet. Well, there is no other option, it will depend on what Akame says now. Out of your thoughts. Akame would continue thinking about that until she gave a deep sigh and then said. Akame. Okay, if you're really starting to change, it's fine, I can share Tatsumi with you, although anyway the first time Tatsumi was me. Esdet. Thank you very much, but that being Tatsumi's first time, I already assumed that. King. Hey, let's leave the conversation for later, because you're starting to get rid of that ice. Meliodas. Hey Zeldris, you still have your commandment. Zeldris. No, when I woke up I felt like my commandment was no longer there, but I still have my magic power to fight. Meliodas. Then let's do it, deadly sins are ready. Everyone. See. At that the commandments and the Demon King and Surziches would be released from the ice, and the battle against the commandments and the Demon King and Surziches would begin. Akame together with Xenovia and Kurum would be facing Durari and Moonspeed. Durari. You won't win, stupid brats. Xenovia. We'll see about that. Moonspeed. Just surrender and we won't kill you. At that point, some large ice spikes would crush the bodies of Durari and Moonspeed. Durari? What the hell? Became. Thanks Esdith. Esdith? For nothing, finish them off quickly now. Xenovia. You can do it, friends. Became. I'm sorry. Kurum. I'm ready sister. And that both would wield their Tigas. Then both of them kill Durari and Moonspeed with a single combined cut and then Esdith destroy their commandments. Esdith. It wasn't as difficult as I expected. Became. Now let's help the others. Xenovia. If we have to. That way, the four of them could go help the others. Meanwhile, King and Diane would be facing Droll and Gloxinia, but King and Diane would be being defeated by the two commandments. Gloxinia. It's over now, both of them will die. Droll. And there is no one to save you. But then Gloxinia and Droll's arms would be cut off by Akame, Kurum and Xenovia, and then Esdith would stab the two commandments with great ice blows. Akame, Kurum, Xenovia. Now King and Diane, use all your power and finish them off. King. List Diane. Diane. Yes, let's do it together. At that Diane would scream. Diane. Gradius Terrestrii. The great stone sword would end up killing Droll, and at that King would scream. King. Sacred Spear Chastiful Mode 4 Sunflowers. In that, the great ray of energy would hit Gloxinia, thus disintegrating it in the process, and then Akame and Kurum would destroy the commandments of Droll and Gloxinia. King. Thanks for the help. Diane. We wouldn't have made it without you. Esdith. You're welcome. Kurum. There are only a few commandments left. Akame. Then let's continue. Xenovia. It's true, I'm sure the others will need help too. So everyone would go to help everyone else. For his part, Merlin, with a little help from Escanor, would have ended the commandment of many demonic faces. Author's note. I don't remember the name of that commandment. End of note. Meanwhile Ban, Wave and Gothar would be fighting against Galland and Melascula, where the three would have more advantage in their favor. Galland. It's impossible, how come they're not winning so easily? Melascula. Damned wretches. Ban. Good time to kill you so Lane can revive. At that Ban would scream. Ban. Stealth death. Then the great beam of energy completely destroys Melascula, then Wave and Gothar finish off Galland with a combined attack, and then Wave destroys Melascula and Galland's commandments. Wave. We have to go quickly and help the others. Ban. You don't have to tell me. And that Akame and Xenovia and Kurum and Esdith would appear along with King and Diane and Merlin, and they would all go to try to help the others. Meanwhile Issei, Tatsumi and Escanor would be fighting against Estarossa, only thanks to Escanor the boys had the advantage in the fight, in that Issei, with the power of Ascalon, Dragon Slayer, would be able to see where Estarossa's commandment is. Issei. Tatsumi, Escanor, you hold him, I will destroy his commandment. Tatsumi Scanor. Understood. In that both would grab Estarossa, who tried to free himself but failed, and in that Issei with Accolon Dragon Slayer would manage to destroy Estarossa's commandment, and in that a brightness would follow the boys to then see amazed that where Estarossa was there was an archangel, who was male, one of the four archangels. Tatsumi. And who the hell is this guy? Escanor. He looks like an archangel. Issei. So this was what he was hiding. Then the others would arrive and see the archangel on the ground, and then Merlin would transport him and leave him in Camelot and then return. Issei. Hey, Meliodas and Zeldris. Tatsumi. It's true where they are. Xenovia. They must be facing the Demon King and Surziches. Akame. We have to go help them. Everyone. See. But in that a combined attack would go towards everyone, in that Merlin would create a perfect cube to cover everyone. Once the smoke was gone, they would see Zeldris and Meliodas very injured, in that Merlin would put Meliodas and Zeldris inside the perfect cube. Issei. Meliodas, you and Zeldris are fine. Meliodas. Cough cough, yes, but they are very strong, we couldn't beat them. At that everyone would see the Demon King and Surziches who were approaching. Seeing that, Issei came up with a single idea. Issei. Merlin-san opens the perfect cube. Merlin. Why do you want me to do that? Issei. I'm going out and facing Surziches and the Demon King. Hearing that, everyone was surprised, but Xenovia would hug Issei tightly while she began to cry. Xenovia crying. No Issei, please don't do it, I don't want to lose you, please stay, I don't want you to die and leave me alone. Issei. At that Issei would grab Xenovia's cheek and then say. Issei. Don't worry Xenovia, I'll come back and survive, and I promise that when this is over, you and I will get married, okay? At that Xenovia with tears in her eyes would give Issei a kiss. Xenovia. Be careful. Issei. I'll have it. On that. Tatsumi. Wait Issei, I'll go with you. Akame. Tatsumi, are you safe, since I don't want you to die like what happened to you when you faced the Emperor's Tigu? At that Tatsumi would see that Akane was starting to cry and then give her a hug and say. Tatsumi. Calm down, I'll be fine, I promise. Akane crying. Please be careful. At that Issei and Tatsumi would leave the perfect cube and walk towards where the Demon King and Surziches are. Demon King. Ha, you two think you can beat us. Surziches. Issei, you and your little friend better surrender. After I finish you, I'll kill everyone in this world. Issei Tatsumi. We will never defeat you two and we will never give up. At that Issei and Tatsumi would activate their armor. Issei Tatsumi. This ends today Surziches and Demon King. Surziches Demon King. Go ahead. At that point the four would get into combat stance to begin their fight. Chapter 11. The final battle between Issei and Tatsumi versus the Demon King and Surziches. Previously the Deadly Sins together with our protagonists had managed to defeat Hendrickson, but things got worse and Surziches and the Demon King appeared along with the other commandments, but Zeldris together with Esdit would have arrived to help in the battle, where after finishing with all the commandments and Meliodas and Zeldris were defeated Issei and Tatsumi would decide to face Surziches and the Demon King. What will happen now, find out. Meanwhile in Camelot everyone would be worried about knowing if the Deadly Sins are okay and if they manage to win. At that Elizabeth would be talking to her sisters. Veronica. By the way, Eli, who are the others who were with the Deadly Sins? Elizabeth. They are my friends and they have helped us a lot. Margaret. It's true, I saw them, they are strong. Veronica. Well, I hope they managed to finish off those who got there. That's what Elizabeth would be talking about in her thoughts. Elizabeth. Meliodas-sama, be careful, I hope the boys can help you and the other Deadly Sins. Out of your thoughts. At that King Bartra would grab Elizabeth by the shoulder. King Bartra. Don't worry Elizabeth, as long as those people are with the Deadly Sins they'll be fine. Elizabeth. You're right, father. And that Hawk would be looking at the sky. Hawk. Ban, I hope you've already killed that woman from the 10 Commandments, so your beloved Elaine will revive. Meanwhile back in the fight that's what Issei would say. Issei. Tatsumi, you take care of the Demon King and I'll take care of Surziches. Tatsumi. Understood. At that point, both would launch an attack. At that point the battle between Issei and Surziches would begin. At that point, Issei would begin to increase his power while using his transformations to land a large number of blows on Surziches and the blows would begin to hurt Surziches. Dreg. Don't get too confident, mate. Remember our goal is to stop him once and for all. Issei. I know Dreg. And that Issei would continue hitting Surziches without stopping. Everyone would see how Issei hit Surziches several times without stopping. Esdith. Hey, I hope my dear Tatsumi is okay. Akame. Like you, I'm worried, but you know what Tatsumi is capable of and I'm sure he'll win. And that everyone would see that Tatsumi was stabbing the Demon King several times with his spear, causing him to start to get angry. Demon King. Damn, how is it possible that you're beating me? Tatsumi. Well now you'll see how I finish you off. And that Tatsumi would continue hitting the Demon King without stopping. Then Issei and Tatsumi sent Surziches and the Demon King flying with a strong blow. Everyone would think that Issei and Tatsumi would have already won, but the Demon King and Surziches would appear and they were somewhat injured but could still move. Surziches. Well now it is. Demon King. Our turn to attack. At that the Demon King and Surziches would begin to launch several magical attacks towards Issei and Tatsumi and due to the large amount of attacks a large smoke screen would have formed and when the smoke dissipated everyone would see impressed how Issei and Tatsumi were on the ground injured and without their armor, seeing that Akame and Xenovia would begin to cry, believing that Issei and Tatsumi were dead, likewise Esdit would begin to shed tears seeing Tatsumi injured. Surziches. Ha, didn't you say that you would finish us off, how pathetic you are, now Issei you and your friend will die. Demon King. It's your end, stupid brats. At that Issei and Tatsumi would have difficulty getting up from the ground. Surziches. Wow, he still has strength. Demon King. Looks like they want to die. Issei. I'm not going to give up, I promised President Rias, I promised her that I would be with Xenovia and that I would be happy with her and that's why the great will of President Rias is on my side, that's why Surziches, I will finish you off for the good of this world and those I love and why I loved Xenovia. At that Issei would activate his balance breaker. At that a large curtain of smoke along with a flash of crimson color would cover Issei. Tatsumi. I'm not going to give up easily, don't underestimate me, I've faced worse things than you, so for the sake of those I loved and for the sake of the woman who loved Akame and for the sake of Esdit who also loves me, I'm not going to give up. At that moment, someone would appear in front of Tatsumi and that was none other than Bullied. Bullied. Tatsumi, I know you can do it, I believe in you. Tatsumi. Brother. Bullied. Remember Tatsumi, I'm with you just like everyone else is by your side, so just like that Issei boy, get up and keep fighting. Tatsumi. Brother. The following would happen. At that a large smoke screen would cover Tatsumi and then Surzich's, and the Demon King would launch a combined attack towards the smoke screen, but when looking up, everyone would see a large crimson glow and a golden glow, and they would see Issei with his strongest transformation, the Cardinal Crimson promotion, and Tatsumi with his evolved raid armor. At that, Surzich's and the Demon King quickly felt the power of Issei and Tatsumi and would begin to launch attacks like crazy, at which Issei would scream. Issei. Crimson boost. Greg. Thunder Blaster booster. In that, the great energy shot would hit Surzich's and the Demon King, leaving them very injured. In that, Issei and Tatsumi would fly at maximum speed and would give them a strong punch in the stomach to both of them and then scream. Issei Tatsumi. It's over. Xenovia. Issei. Became Esdith. Tatsumi. Wave Kurum 7 Deadly Sins. Finish them. And that Issei and Tatsumi with all their power would manage to destroy the Demon King and Surzich's forever, and in that when the great brightness of the explosion dissipated, everyone would see that Issei and Tatsumi would be fine without a scratch. And that Xenovia and Akame would go to hug Issei and Tatsumi tightly, and then Xenovia would give Issei a passionate kiss, and Akame would give Tatsumi a passionate kiss. Meliodas. Everything is over, the commandments were defeated, and the Demon King too, besides Issei, you managed to defeat that Surzich's. Issei. You're right, but I couldn't have done it without Tatsumi's help, thanks friend. Tatsumi. You're welcome, I wasn't going to let you fight that guy by yourself in addition to fighting the Demon King. Esdith. Then and now what do we do? Kurum. It's true, if we already won, now what do we do? Wave. I have no idea. Meliodas. Hey Merlin, can you bring Elizabeth here? I have to tell her, you know. At that Merlin would leave and a few seconds later he would return with Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Meliodas Sama is fine, all of you managed to win, I feel happy. Meliodas. Elizabeth, there is something I have to tell you. I hope you understand. And that Meliodas would tell Elizabeth about the curse she has and the one Elizabeth has. At first she was a little surprised, but later she would understand. To then do the following. Author's note. The following scene will remain the same, nothing changes, end of note. Everyone would have been surprised to see that Meliodas destroyed the curses, as if it were nothing. Issei. That was the solution you told us about. Meliodas. Haha, they discovered me and that was the solution. Tatsumi. Well, with the Demon King dead and also that Surzich's guy, now everything is safe. Wave. We won. Ban. Haha, Captain, you are a son of a bitch. Meliodas. Haha, I think so, by the way. Zeldris. What's up? Meliodas. I have a surprise for you and I'm sure you like it. Zeldris. Seriously, what is it? Meliodas. We just have to go to a specific place, so everyone follow me. All. It's okay. In that, everyone would arrive at an empty place. Akame. What's supposed to be here? Xenovia. Why can't I see anything? Meliodas. They'll know soon, Zell, follow me. Zeldris. It's okay. So both would enter a kind of destroyed castle. Kurum. Hey Merlin-san, you know why we're here. Wave. It's true who we're looking for. Diane. I'm curious to know. King. Me too. Merlin. Well, you see, years ago, when the 7 deadly sins had the mission of finishing off the vampires of Edinburgh, the captain sealed a vampire with the power of darkness. Tatsumi. Out of curiosity, what is your name? Merlin. Her name is Gelda and she is Zeldris's beloved. Issei. That explains a lot. Esdith. You don't even need to say it. Meanwhile, with Meliodas and Zeldris, they were in front of a sphere of darkness. Zeldris. What the heck is there? Meliodas. You see, years ago I met Gelda, but instead of killing her, I sealed her here, since I know how much she means to you, that's why now that everything is over, I can free her. Zeldris. Seriously, then I appreciate it, brother. At that point Meliodas would break the seal and Gelda would appear, and upon seeing Zeldris, she would quickly go and hug him. Gelda. Zell, it's you, you're here and you're not under the control of the Demon King. You don't know how much I missed you. Zeldris. I missed you too, Gelda, you don't know how happy I am. In that, Zeldris would put his face more between Gelda's breasts, in that, Meliodas would put his chibi face and say. Meliodas chibi. Sate, I see you like breasts, eh? I must also assume that every time you saw Gelda years ago you always put your face in them. Zeldris blushed. Of course not. Meliodas. Well, if you say so, well, we better go back to the others. At that point the three would return upstairs where Gelda would introduce herself to the others and the others would also do the same. Hey Merlin, I'd like to ask you a favor. Merlin. What kind of favor? At that Ban would whisper in Merlin's ear. After that Merlin, without saying anything, would transport everyone to a forest that King would recognize. King. This is the Fairy King's forest. Diane. The Fairy King's forest. King. But how is it possible if the forest was destroyed years ago? Ban. You see, King, I planted the last seed that remained in the forest and used my blood, and now I think it worked since this is the new forest of the Fairy King. King. This is incredible, I never thought your blood could do that. Issei. This forest looks very beautiful. Xenovia. It's true. Esdith. The tranquility of this forest can be felt in the air. They came. But I don't understand who we came to look for. Tatsumi. It's true, listen, who are we looking for this time? Out of nowhere a fairy would appear that King would recognize as none other than Jurheed. Jurheed. You are truly King Harlequin. King. Hey, it's me. Wave. And who is she? Kurum. And besides, why do I call King by that name? Gother. It's interesting that they call King by that name. Escanor. But I still don't understand who we're looking for. Ban. You'll know. Jurheed. King Harlequin, you want are these people? King. They are my friends, and there is also Diane, my girlfriend. Jurheed. Wow, I never thought you would have a girlfriend, but changing the subject, follow me, I have to show you something that I'm sure your majesty will like. King. Then take us there. Then everyone would follow Jurheed and reach the top of the tree in the Fairy King's forest, where there were many fairies gathered around someone. Meliodas. What's supposed to be there? Zeldris. Maybe it's another fairy. Jurheed. Actually yes, and she is the sister of King Harlequin. Elizabeth. Mr. King's sister. King. Elaine, but it's impossible, she died. Jurheed. She's not alive, look. And that everyone would look and see a little girl with blonde hair and a white dress, this was none other than Elaine. And that all the fairies and Elaine would see the deadly sins, Issei and Xenovia, Akame and Tatsumi, Esdith, Wave and Kurum, and also Zeldris and Gelda, but Elaine, upon seeing Ban, would quickly fly towards him, while Ban began to walk towards her. Once close, Elaine would hug Ban tightly, and he would reciprocate the hug, leaving everyone surprised. Elaine. Ban, is you don't know how much I missed you, and if you kept your promise to try to revive me. Ban. I promised you and I kept it, Elaine, and now you and I can be together. In that, both would give each other a passionate kiss, showing the love they have for each other. Author's note. Image of Elaine wearing the white dress. End of note. Everyone would have been surprised by what they were seeing, but the most surprised was King to see that Ban was kissing his sister, but he would calm down, thanks to Diane. After that and an explanation from Elaine, everyone understood, although King was very impressed to learn everything his sister experienced with Ban. Elaine. By the way, who are they, Ban? Ban. Well, they are my friends. Issei. Hello, my name is Hyodo Issei. Xenovia. I am Xenovia the Fourth. Akame. I'm Akame Murasame. Tatsumi. My name is Tatsumi Hijikata. Wave. I am Wave. Kurum. I'm Kurum, nice to meet you. Esdith. And my name is Esdith, it's a pleasure. Elaine. The pleasure is mine. Meliodas. Well, what do you think if we return to Lions to celebrate? Zeldris. It wouldn't be bad at all to celebrate for the first time, I support that idea. Issei. So what are we waiting for, let's go celebrate. All. Yes. And that Merlin would transport everyone, and they would arrive at Camelot where everyone would happily receive them, and then everyone would go to Lions, and with Merlin's help the entire kingdom would be rebuilt, and everyone would celebrate the victory. But in that everyone would see a portal, but in that they would see that from the portal came a giant red dragon, a dragon that Issei would recognize. Issei. It's great red. Xenovia. And Afasama. Meliodas. So they are the dragon gods you told us about. Zeldris. Incredible. Gelda. You're right, Zell, this is incredible. At that, Great Red and Office would go down to the ground and see Issei and Xenovia and would approach. Office. I see that you were able to beat Surziches. Red. What a brat, you never cease to amaze me. Issei. Hehe, thanks, but what are you doing here? Office. Well, we came here to tell you that we know about the dimension of that boy called Tatsumi, and we can make him go visit with his girlfriend Akame, of course, if he wants. Red. But you can go too if you want. Tatsumi. Well, I'd like to know what happened after I died and how the imperial capital is. Akame. Me too. Esdith. Well, I don't know if I should go since they would think I'm going to kill them. Kurum. Don't worry, we'll be with you. Wave. Hey, Issei and Xenovia are coming with us to visit our dimension. Issei Xenovia. Sure, why not? Red. So what are you waiting for, brats? At that point everyone would climb onto Big Red's back. Meliodas. Sate, don't take too long to return. Issei. It's okay. And that a portal would open where Great Red and Office would enter along with Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Esdith and Wave and Kurum. World of Akame ga kill. Legenda would be doing her respective duties with Leon's help, but suddenly a tremor would be felt and they would go out and see a strange portal from where Great Red and Office would come out along with Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Esdith and Wave and Kurum. Everyone would look in amazement, but Legenda and Leon would see Tatsumi and Akame, so they would quickly get to where they were. Legenda. Akame Tatsumi, it's you. Tatsumi. Haha, of course boss Leaf. Legenda. Akame. It's nice to see you again. Leon. But since you died, what are you doing with Esdith and those two, and who are the other two boys, and also why were they on a gigantic dragon? Tatsumi. It's a long story, but we'll tell it to you. In that, Tatsumi and Akame tell Legenda and Leon about what happened to them in the world of Nanatsu no Taizai and the battles they had, in addition to telling them why Esdith, Wave, and Kurum were there and who Issei and Xenovia were, and when Legenda and Leon finished the explanation, they would have been surprised by everything Tatsumi told them. Legenda. Wow, I never thought all that would happen to them, but I'm glad to know they're still alive. Leon. In addition to having a great dragon as a friend. Brad. Yes, whatever you say, Brad. Office. We have to return you to that world, we have to go. Tatsumi. Well, I guess this is a see you soon. Akame. But we are glad to know that now the imperial capital is at peace and the country as well. Legenda. Well, take care of yourselves and be happy, you pair of lovebirds. Leon. Exactly. Tatsumi. Akame. Haha, thanks. At that point, everyone would climb onto Big Red's back and then a portal would open and everyone would enter. World of Nanatsu no Taizai. After returning, everyone would continue celebrating, but Issei and Tatsumi would be looking at the starry sky. Xenovia. Issei, are you okay? Akame. Something's wrong with you, Tatsumi. Issei. Hey, yeah, I'm fine, Xenovia, I was just thinking about something. Tatsumi. I was doing the same. Xenovia. Oh, I see. Akame. Who would have thought that the four of us who came from other worlds would live such a great adventure? Issei. It's true, but we are still friends, and that's why we were able to defeat the threats of this world. Tatsumi. Besides, we live a good life here. Wave and Kurum would approach that. Wave. What are you doing, guys? Kurum. It's true, why they are here. Tatsumi. Well, Issei and I were thinking. Wave. Hey Issei and Tatsumi, come here. Issei. It's okay. At that point the three would meet and talk. Issei. The good thing is that Office and gave me the engagement ring that I already had in my world. Tatsumi. He also got one for me and Wave too. Wave. Well, it's time. Issei. Tatsumi. It's time. At that point the three of them would return with the girls. Xenovia. What were you talking about so much? Issei. I actually have to tell you something, Xenovia. Tatsumi. I also want to tell you something, Akame. Wave. And I have to tell you something, Kurum. Xenovia. Akame. Kurum. And what is it? Then, thanks to something Issei had in his pants, which was a music player, he would play the next song. At that Issei would kneel in front of Xenovia. Issei. Xenovia the fourth, you are the only girl that I love and will always love, since just like President Rias, you are the only one who never left me and did not betray me, and that is why Xenovia the fourth would like to marry me. At that Xenovia would start to cry and she would quickly hug Issei and then say. Xenovia. Of course Issei-kun, you are the only boy I love, besides I told you that I still wanted to marry you, so if Issei-kun agrees to marry you. At that Issei would put the ring on Xenovia and she would quickly kiss Issei and he would reciprocate the kiss. At that Tatsumi would see Akame and he would bend down and say. Tatsumi. Akame, you are the girl who stole my heart. I also felt the same way about you, but I never dared to tell you my feelings for you because I was afraid that you would reject me, but now that you and I are boyfriend and girlfriend, that makes me happy. At that Akame would start to cry while she saw Tatsumi. Tatsumi. But now I would like to be something more with you. At that Tatsumi would take out an engagement ring and say. Tatsumi. Akame Urasum, would you like to be my wife? At that Akame would say, still crying. Akame crying. Yes Tatsumi, yes, I want to be your wife, I want to be with you always until the end of the world, so yes, I want to marry you, Tatsumi. Then that Akame would passionately kiss Tatsumi and he would put the ring on Akame and then reciprocate Akame's kiss. At that, Wave would look at Kurum nervously and then kneel in front of Kurum. Wave. Kurum, you are the only girl I fell in love with, I never wanted to tell you my feelings because I was afraid that you wouldn't feel the same way about me, but when you told me that you love me, I felt like the happiest boy in the world. At that Kurum would start to cry when she saw that Wave was about to ask her to marry her. Wave. And that's why I want to be with you for the rest of my life forever, no matter what I went through. At that Wave would take out the engagement ring and say. Wave. Kurum, would you like to be my wife and live adventures forever? At that Kurum would hug Wave tightly and then say. Kurum. Yes Wave, of course, you don't know how much I was hoping you would propose to me, and as I already said, of course I want to be your wife. Wave. You don't know how much you make me happy Kurum. And that Wave would put the ring on Kurum and then passionately kiss Wave. Everyone would see what happened and everyone would start screaming with excitement, seeing the three couples so happy, and including Gothar would be smiling, but suddenly, Gothar would have a memory of a girl with purple hair, something that would confuse Gothar. Gothar? What the heck was that memory? King. Hey Gothar, are you okay? Gothar. Yeah I'm fine I just feel happy for them. King. I'm happy for them too. Diane. Now we can continue celebrating for them because it's nice to see them happy. Ban. You're right, let's congratulate them. And that everyone would be congratulating the three couples and even Zeldris and Gelda, but after that Meliodas and Zeldris together with Ban would be competing to see who drank the most, something that would make Elizabeth. Elaine and Gelda sweat in I'm style while King and Diane would be having fun, while Merlin and Escanor would be having fun with Arthur, while they watched him not do something stupid, while Issei and Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum would be with Esdith talking about many things, although Esdith would say that. Esdith. After you marry Akame Tatsumi I'll be next. Tatsumi nervous. Haha it's okay Esdith. Akame. I think you're jealous that I beat you. Esdith. Not at all. Issei. This is really fun. Xenovia. Yes it is. Wave. Hey, what are we going to do now? Kurum. I have no idea love. Esdith. Why don't you help Meliodas in his tavern? Issei. That would be a good idea. Tatsumi. That wouldn't be bad at all. Wave. Then it's decided. Issei Tatsumi. Yees. Seeing that, Xenovia, Akame, Esdith and Kurum would break into an anime-style sweat drop. But someone who would be thoughtful was Gothar, but in that everyone would see that they were launching fireworks, something that everyone would like. Greg. This world is one of the best, my friend. I also congratulate you because you are going to marry the woman you love. Issei. Haha thanks Dreg. Greg. Tatsumi and Wave, I also congratulate you too as you are also going to marry the women you love. Tatsumi Wave. Thanks Dreg. And that everyone would continue watching the fireworks and that Issei would see the sky, while Rias was shown smiling happily and that Issei would say in his thoughts. Issei. Thank you, President, for staying with me and Xenovia despite everything. At that a firework would make a big explosion while illuminating the sky more, and all the holy knights and Elizabeth sisters and King Bartra and Hawk would smile happily. Chapter 12. Gothar's past. Previously Issei and Tatsumi would have defeated the Demon King and Surziches, and Meliodas was able to destroy his curse and that of Elizabeth after Meliodas had released Gelda, and after going to find Elaine King's sister Issei together Xenovia and Akame and Tatsumi and Wave and Kurum together with Esdith, they would have gone to visit the world of Akame and Tatsumi, where they spoke with Najenda about what they had experienced in the world of Nanatsu no Taizai, where they would later return. And Issei proposed to Xenovia and she accepted, Tatsumi would also have proposed to Akame and she would accept, and the same happened with Wave, since he would have proposed to Kurum and she would accept, where after celebrating everyone would see the fireworks that will happen now find out. The week had passed since the defeat of the 10 Commandments and the Demon King and Surziches at the hands of our protagonists and the 7 deadly sins, and now there was only one day left for Issei's wedding, Tatsumi's wedding, and Wave's wedding, since the three had decided that each one would marry their partner on the same day and in the same place. On the other hand, Xenovia, along with Akame and Kurum, would receive help from Elizabeth and Diane for their wedding dresses, and when they saw them, the three of them would get quite excited. On the other hand, Merlin and Escanor would have started a relationship after the defeat of the 10 Commandments and the Demon King and Surziches, something that no one on the team expected, but in the end everyone was happy. On the other hand, King joined Gothar, Ban, and Zeldris to help with the elegant outfits for Issei, Tatsumi, and Wave, and luckily, they got it much sooner. Meliodas joined Elizabeth and Hawk and Esdith to take care of the preparations for the ceremony, since Ban and Elaine would be in charge of the food, but they would receive help from Gelda. Present. Everyone was in the tavern talking about trivial things. But Gothar would be thoughtful about that memory he had a week ago, but would be taken out of his thoughts by Meliodas. Meliodas. Hey Gothar, are you okay? Gothar. Yes, I'm fine Captain, don't worry. Meliodas. Well, okay, back to the topic. Everything is ready for tomorrow. We took too long, but each group was able to do their assigned duty. Issei. It wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for your good strategy in making each group. Tatsumi. Exactly, and I thought you were just an idiot. Meliodas. Haha, how funny, but well, getting back to the topic, it's good that each group fulfilled each thing that was assigned to them. Wave. Yes, but hey Meliodas, why else did you bring us together? Kurum. I'm sure you didn't just bring us together to talk about tomorrow. Elizabeth. You three are really excited. Akame. Why not be if tomorrow I'm going to marry the boy I loved? Xenovia. Kurum. Same with us. Meliodas. Well, back to the topic again, I gathered you here to talk about how things are going wonderfully, and apart from telling you that I feel happy for you guys, I wish you the best of happiness, and now that you live here in our world, you will be very happy. Issei. Tatsumi. Wave. Haha, thanks Meliodas. Ban. Hey Merlin, you said you had something to give to Gothar, what is it? King. I was wondering the same thing. Merlin. Well, this is it. At that Merlin would snap his fingers and a metal heart with pink lines would appear. Everyone would be surprised to see the heart, but Gothar would be very surprised to see it, and the same memory of that purple-haired girl would come back to him again, and Gothar would run out of the tavern. Esdith. Hey guys, Gothar just ran away. All. Wow. Hawk. We just saw him leave. Zeldris. But why would he have left? Meliodas. I don't know, but let's go find him. All. Yes. At that point, everyone would leave the tavern except for Elizabeth, Elaine, Hawk and Gelda, who had decided to stay. Meanwhile, Gothar would be on the streets of the Lion's Kingdom, and just like in the original story, Gothar would remove his memories, but the following would happen. Flashback. At that point the boys would arrive at the tavern. Elizabeth. And what happened? Everything is fine. Esdith. Well, if it weren't for Diane, San Gothar would have erased all his memories himself. Tatsumi. But Gothar, now you know that it doesn't matter if there are bad memories, there will always be good and bad memories inside you. Gothar. I know, thanks to all of you for supporting me and being with me. Issei. It's nothing, family always supports each other. Zeldris. Well then, how about we have a drink since tomorrow is going to be an amazing day. Meliodas. Sate, it's true, we have to celebrate for these three couples who will get married tomorrow, so what do you say? Everyone. Let's do it. And so everyone would start drinking, but not too much since tomorrow would be the big day for Issei and Xenovia, Akame and Tatsumi, and Wave and Kurum. The next morning everyone was at Lion's Castle since Issei and Xenovia's wedding, Tatsumi and Akame's wedding, and Wave and Kurum's wedding would take place there. Meanwhile with the boys. Meliodas and the others would have helped Issei and Tatsumi and Wave in fixing something that surprised the three of them. And. Okay, you're ready, guys. Issei. I'm ready, and you Tatsumi and Wave. Tatsumi. Wave. We are always ready. Meliodas. Well, I don't know what else to say, it's time to take you three to the altar to receive your future wives. Zeldris. So let's go at a faster pace. So the boys would start following Zeldris. Meanwhile with the girls. They would have already helped Akame, Xenovia and Kurum with their wedding dresses, on the other hand, Akame and Kurum decided to wear the same wedding dress model. Elizabeth. Okay girls, it's time. Xenovia. You guys will catch up with them in a moment. All. It's okay. So everyone would go out while Xenovia looked in the mirror and something would appear behind her and she would see that it was Rias' soul. Rias. Hello Xenovia. Xenovia. You are the pre-president. Rias. If it's me, well this is my soul, so it doesn't mean I'm alive. Xenovia. Still, you don't know how happy I am to see you. Rias. Well I was always with you and Issei, and I must tell you that I am happy that you are marrying Issei. I wish you the best happiness in the world. Xenovia. Thank you, President, thank you very much. Rias. Well, I think you should go to the altar, don't you think? Xenovia. Yes, you're right, thank you for coming to see me. Rias. It's nothing now, see Issei must be waiting. So Xenovia would leave the room while Rias just looked at everything with a big smile of happiness and then left. Already at the altar everyone would see how Akame, Kurum and Xenovia arrived, and Xenovia would have a normal but striking wedding dress. Author's note. Something like that, okay, end of note. In that, the three would be on par with their respective partners. Issei. You look very beautiful Xenovia. Xenovia. Thank you, love. That's when the ceremony would begin until the oath-taking part came. King Bartra. Issei Hyodo, do you accept Xenovia the Fourth as your wife to love and respect until death do you part? Issei. I accept, I will always be with Xenovia no matter what happens. King Bartra. And you Xenovia the Fourth accept Issei Hyodo as your husband to love and respect him until death do you part? Xenovia. Of course I accepted, I will always be with my beloved Issei. King Bartra. Now Tatsumi Hijikata you accept Akame Murasame as you. But in that he would be interrupted by Tatsumi. Tatsumi. I accept no matter what happens I will always love Akame. Akame. I also accept, I will always be with Tatsumi no matter what happens. Everyone would have an anime-style sweat drop from seeing how fast it went. Ping Bartra. Well now young Wave, you accept Kurum as your wife to love and respect her until death do you part. Wave. I accept to love my beloved Kurum until the end. Ping Bartra. And you Kurum accept Wave as your husband to love and respect him until death do you part. Kurum. I accept, I will also love Wave until the end. Ping Bartra. Okay, now you can hand over the rings. Hawk would be in charge of passing the wedding rings to each couple and each couple would put on their wedding rings. Ping Bartra. Well now by the power granted to me I declare you husbands and wives now Issei and Tatsumi and Wave can kiss their respective partners. And that Issei would kiss Xenovia with much love and affection. Tatsumi would do the same with Akame. And Wave would also do the same with Kurum. At that everyone would start clapping and celebrating. 2 minutes later. At that Akame, Xenovia and Kurum would be about to throw the bouquets of flowers. Akame, Kurum, Xenovia. And here it goes. At that the 3 bouquets of flowers would be thrown and those who would catch the bouquets would be Elizabeth, Elaine and Diane. Elizabeth, Elaine, Diane. Yes we did it, we caught the bouquets of flowers. Both Akame, Xenovia and Kurum would be surprised since they didn't expect that. Akame. Wow, that's very unexpected. Xenovia. You don't even need to say it. Esdith. I guess as tradition says they will be the next to get married. Kurum. That's true, but even so you will marry Tatsumi later. Esdith. Yes that's what I told Akame. Akame. It's because you're jealous that I'm the first. Esdith. And I tell you I'm not jealous. Meanwhile the boys would be drinking a little light, the other men who were at the wedding were drinking more, along with Meliodas, Zeldris and Ban, who were competing again. Issei. It's now customary for those 3 to compete. Tatsumi. You're right, but it's still fun to see them like this. Wave. You don't even need to say it. At that Issei would use magic to put music on and play the next song. At that point everyone would start dancing and some would clap to keep the crowd dancing. Issei danced with his beloved Xenovia happily, both moved to the rhythm of the song and both were very close together. The same was with Tatsumi and Akame, both of them were dancing to the rhythm of the song and the 2 of them were hugging each other very much as well. It was also the same with Wave and Kurum, both of them also danced to the rhythm of the song and both of them were hugging each other very much. There would be a stage and Wave would come up and grab a microphone that was there. Wave. This song is for me now wife Kurum, I hope you like it. At that Wave would start singing the next song. When the song ended, Kurum would quickly go to hug Wave and he would carry her in his arms. Wave. You like the song. Kurum. I loved it, thank you love. At that everyone would start applauding. But then Tatsumi would go up on stage and he would also grab the microphone. Tatsumi. Well it's my turn, I dedicate this song to my wife Akame, I hope you like this song. At that Tatsumi would start singing the next song. After finishing the song, Akame would go to hug Tatsumi and then give him a tender and loving kiss. At that everyone would start to applaud and see that now Issei was going to sing. Issei. Well, only I am left. Well, I dedicate this song to you, my wife, my beloved Xenovia. I hope you like it. At that Issei would start singing the next song. At that point, when the song finished, Xenovia quickly gave Issei a tender kiss. Then all of them they would start applauding and then continue with the party. Then Issei would magically put on another song so everyone could dance and enjoy. Author's note. Listen to this epic song at the end of the note. Then all of them they would be celebrating and dancing happily. On the other hand now Meliodas and Zeldris were competing since Ban and King couldn't stand it and lost. Gother took care of King and Ban while Escanor and Merlin danced to the rhythm of the music. Esdith and the other girls were talking about trivial girl stuff. Meanwhile Issei continued dancing happily with his beloved now wife Xenovia. Tatsumi also continued dancing with Akame happily. Wave and Kurum kept dancing. Everyone felt happy because that day was the best of their lives. And that while Issei danced with Xenovia, Ria's soul saw them both happily since she felt happy that they too were starting a married life. Rias. Issei, you and Xenovia, I hope you continue to be happy since I will always be with you to take care of you. Thus the soul of Rias would leave. So the party would continue until everyone saw the fireworks that were launched, at which point everyone would shout for the 3 married couples. All. Long live the bride and groom. So everyone would see how the sky is lit up by fireworks. Chapter 13 and Finale. Prisoners of Heaven Special. Author's note. This time there will be no summary of the previous chapter. End of note. It had already been 2 weeks after Issei married Xenovia and Tatsumi married Akame and Wave married Kurum. The 3 couples enjoyed being together as they had a lot of fun in their now married life and continued living in the world they arrived in and where they met their friends, the 7 deadly sins. Present. Just like in the original story, everyone would have brought something to cook for King Bartra of Lions, only here our protagonists would have also brought something except Meliodas and Zeldris, since they were both looking for a blue fish, only Zeldris didn't find it and Meliodas just got lazy. Inside the tavern there would be Meliodas and Zeldris turning some knives with their hands. Meliodas Zeldris. Get ready King Bartra because now you will delight in a dish made by us. Hawk. Ha 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 ha, you two are seriously going to cook for the king if you don't even know how to wash the dishes properly. At that point Meliodas and Zeldris would throw their knives at Hawk and he would just get scared. Meliodas Zeldris. We are ready Chef Ban, please teach us. Ban. Ha ha ha, well, they will be my new apprentices, Captain and Zeldris, now let's see how they prepare an apple pie. Meliodas Zeldris. Yes sir. And just like in the original story, the apple pie would go wrong. 2 minutes later. We see Meliodas, Zeldris and Hawk walking towards a pond. Hawk. This is very sticky, although the truth is I feel sorry for Escanor, how sad that he had to eat his pie. Zeldris. Well, sorry about that, okay. In that, just like in the original story, Meliodas and Hawk would enter the pond and Zeldris would just follow them so they wouldn't do anything stupid. At that point the pond would stop shining and from there would come out a blonde boy almost resembling Meliodas, this was none other than Solid. At that point Solid would be walking and would come out of the forest, at that point King would arrive along with Tatsumi and Wave. Tatsumi. There you are, Meliodas, we are waiting for you. Wave. And where the hell is Zeldris? At that Solid would start running while Tatsumi, Wave and King followed him. King. Don't run away, Captain. Besides, you said you would cook with Zeldris. The following would happen. Then Solid would start running, but then Issei would notice something. Issei. Wait a minute, don't you see that he's Meliodas? Xenovia. You're right, it's different and its energy isn't demonic. And that Solid would run into Akame and Kurum. Akame. Stop running away, we know you're not Meliodas. Kurum. So tell us who you are. And that Solid would run again and in that Ban would say. Ban. I've got you, Captain. At that point Ban would try to grab Solid but the following would happen. Wave. Hey, isn't Meliodas supposed to have purple demon wings? Tatsumi. That's why this guy isn't Meliodas. Esdith. So if this is not the real Meliodas then. Issei. Where the hell is Meliodas? Meanwhile, in another place, Meliodas and Hawk would emerge from a pond and then Zeldris would emerge. Zeldris. Hey, where are we? Meliodas. That's true, we're not in the forest anymore. Hawk. So what the hell is this place? Just like in the original story, some guards would appear and take Meliodas, Hawk and Zeldris away. When they left, the three would see the view and realize where they were. Zeldris surprised. Don't tell me that maybe. Meliodas. Indeed. Hawk. We are. At that the three would scream. Meliodas Zeldris Hawk. We are in heaven. Play the intro of the last chapter. Meanwhile on the surface. Solid would begin to wake up and then the following would happen. Merlin. And there's also a boy who is a demon and has a dragon sealed inside him and a girl who is a demon and has a sacred sword, also 2 girls with strange swords and abilities and a girl with the power to use ice and 2 boys with swords that allow them to use strange armor. Kurum. Wow, that was a good detailed explanation from us. Akame. You're right. Tatsumi. Hey, tell us who you are and what the heck you are because your wings show that you are an angel. Solid. Well, my name is Solid, but who are you? Issei. Ah well, they are the 7 deadly sins, the one who grabbed your head is Ban, he is immortal, the one with the floating pillow is King, he is a fairy as Merlin's and already said, and well she is a magician, there is Escanor, he is human, but with super incredible abilities, there is Gother, he is a doll, but now he has feelings, and there is also Diana giant. Ban. Wow, you're good at explaining. Solid. Well, but who are the others apart from you? Xenovia. Well, she is Elaine, she is King's sister, and she is also a fairy, and she is Ban's partner, she is Gelda, a vampire, and she is the partner of a demon friend of ours called Zeldris. Elizabeth. And well, I'm Elizabeth, it's a pleasure. Solid. Okay, but they haven't told me their names. Issei. Well, I am Hyodo Issei, and I am a demon who possesses a dragon sealed inside my body, and the girl who is at my side is my wife Xenovia, and she is also a demon. Tatsumi. I am Tatsumi Hijikata, and I am a bearer of the Tiguing Curcio, and the girl next to me is my wife Akame Murasum. Wave. Well, my name is Wave and I am the bearer of the Tigu Grand Chariot, and the girl next to me is my wife Kurum, and she is Akame's sister. Solid. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Esdith. And my name is Esdith, and I possess a Tigu that allows me to create ice. Solid. Nice to meet you, and about your other question, I am a member of the celestial race. All. Celestial race. Xenovia. Perhaps the celestial race is like a race of angels. Solid. Something like that. Elizabeth. I never thought I'd see a member of the celestial race again. Solid. Do you know about us? Elizabeth. Yes, I am the daughter of the supreme deity. At that Elizabeth would activate her goddess eyes, this would surprise Solid. Solid surprised. Wow, I never thought I would see the daughter of the leader of the goddess clan. Became. That's what happens when you see them for the first time. Kurum. Even we were surprised. At this point it would happen like in the original story until when everyone is at the bonfire. Solid. That's right, but also his brother Zeldris that you mentioned. Issei. Hey, I have a question, why the hell did you come here? Solid. Well, I came to the surface to look for the Great White. All. Great White. In that case it would be like in the original story until Gaara destroys the pond. Gaara. Haha, now none of you will be able to reach the Celestial Palace, the 6 Black Knights will wipe out the Celestial race. Xenovia. Shut up. At that Xenovia would hit Gaara with her Durandal sword and Gaara would be destroyed. Xenovia. What the hell? Issei. Wasn't it real? Gother. It was just a puppet, the real Gaara is somewhere else. Esdith. And now how do we get to the Celestial Palace? Merlin. Let me take care of it. Just like in the original story, everyone in the tavern would fly away. Gother. Get ready, the 7 deadly sins, together with your friends, we will go to the Celestial Palace. Issei Tatsumi wave. That's the attitude. So everyone would go their own way. Meanwhile in the Celestial Palace. Meliodas and Zeldris would be in a cell, although they were bored. Zeldris. Hey, why did they lock us up, Hawk? Meliodas. Why did he hide? Zeldris. Who the heck is this Solid they're confusing you with? Meliodas. No idea, but before leaving. The following would happen. Later it would happen like in the original story until when Elid is talking to Meliodas, but also to Zeldris. Elid. Hey, who is he? Meliodas. He is my brother Zeldris, but I call him Zel. Zeldris. Nice to meet you. Elid. Well, just say that you're his friend. Zeldris. It's okay, I have no problem. So the 3 would enter and go back. Meanwhile, with the others, they would be flying through the clouds. The following would happen. In that case it would be like in the original story, but here Gother would see Solid's memories just out of curiosity. The following would happen. Meanwhile outside the tavern was Issei watching the night sky. Issei. Hey Drake, I would like to know if Xenovia is expecting a child of mine, since I would like to be a father, you know. Drake. Well, buddy, you'll have to wait for that. If you see that she presents those typical symptoms, you'll know that she's pregnant. Issei. You're right. That's when Tatsumi and Wave would appear. Issei. Guys, what are you doing here? Wave. Well, we were walking and we heard your conversation with Drake. Tatsumi. You know Issei, you're not the only one. I also want to be a father. Wave. Same here. Issei. Well, let's hope that comes true for the 3 of us. So the children would continue to see the starry sky. Drake's thoughts. Drake. If only they knew what was going on in there, I'm sure they'd be happy to know. I have a feeling something's coming in 3, 2 and 1. Out of your thoughts. At that moment, Elizabeth and Esdith would come out of the tavern, worried. Elizabeth. Mr. Issei, Mr. Tatsumi, Mr. Wave. Issei. And now what happens, Miss Elizabeth? Tatsumi. Something's wrong, Esdith, why are you so worried? Esdith. What happened is that we were talking to the girls when they suddenly started vomiting. Issei Tatsumi wave. Wow. Elizabeth. Miss Merlin is checking them. Wave. Well, let's go, but explain to them how it happened. Esdith. Well, this is what happened. Flashback. 5 minutes ago. Esdith was talking with Xenovia, Akame and Kurum, and then Elizabeth would arrive and they would start talking a little. But in that Akame, Xenovia and Kurum would feel somewhat strange. Esdith. Are you girls okay? You look dizzy. Elizabeth. They have girls. Xenovia Akame Kurum. We don't know, but we do feel a little dizzy and want to. Esdith. What do you want? Elizabeth. Say what you're in the mood for. Xenovia Akame Kurum. I want to vomit. The girls would not finish speaking as they would suddenly begin to vomit on the floor and then faint on the ground. Esdith Elizabeth. Girls. End of flashback. At that Issei, Tatsumi and Wave would arrive at the room where the girls were and would see that they were being examined by Merlin. Issei Tatsumi Wave. Girls are fine. Xenovia Akame Kurum. If we are fine, don't worry. Elizabeth. Miss Merlin, that's what girls have. Esdith. It's true, why they got like that. At that point Merlin would continue checking the girls until he stopped. Merlin. Don't worry, it's nothing bad, in fact it's something good for you guys. Issei Tatsumi wave. What does Merlin-san mean? Happy Xenovia. maybe it is. Became Kurum happy. What we're thinking. Elizabeth. Am I confused? Merlin. What happens is that Xenovia, Akame and Kurum are pregnant, which means that you guys are going to be parents. Elizabeth Esdith. Witee. At that moment, the boys would approach their respective wives and then hug them and begin to cry with happiness. Issei Tatsumi wave. Yes. The girls would just hug their respective husbands tightly. Esdith. That means they won't be able to fight. Elizabeth. It's true, if they don't do it they would be putting themselves in danger. Xenovia. It's true, then what do we do? Akame. I don't know. Kurum. Neither do I. Issei. Don't worry Xenovia, I'll be fine, what matters to me now is that you and the baby are okay. Tatsumi. I say the same, don't worry Akame, I'll be fine now, what matters is your health and the baby's. Wave. It's true, I say the same to you, Kurum. Merlin. I actually know a way for them to fight without hurting the babies. All. And what is it? At that point, Merlin would approach the girls and then put a spell on each of their bellies and a kind of shield would appear on each of the girls' bellies. Issei. And now what was that? Merlin. It's a protective spell, the shield that protects the girl's belly is very resistant, absolutely nothing can break that shield, not even the captain or Escanor. Xenovia. It means we can fight without hurting the babies. Merlin. That's right. Tatsumi. Wow, that's amazing. Wave. Well, now that everything is safe we have to continue on the path, right? Merlin. That's right. The next day. Meanwhile, in the Celestial Palace, what was in the original story would be happening. Meanwhile, with the others, they were tasting the food that Solid prepared. Issei. Wow, you cook very well, Solid. Tatsumi. Don't even mention it. King. Hey, wouldn't you like to be the chef of the tavern, please do it out of mercy. Gother. If that were the case, our sales would increase by 100%. Wave. You're right about that. And that everything would move. Xenovia came Kurum. And now what happened? Merlin. I sense a very strong magical power in that storm. Hold on tight, there will be a lot of turbulence. Thus the tavern would enter a tornado. From here everything would be like in the original story. Author's note. The following videos I'll be posting are scenes from the film, but I recommend you focus more on the Latin American Spanish dubbing. End of note. Author's note. Pretend that our protagonists are here during the battles, end of note. Second video. Author's note. Watch this video until minute 922 end of note. Just like in the original story, Meliodas would save Ban, and he would go to help the others against the demon Yandere. Elion. I see you managed to escape the clutches of death. Meliodas. I'm sorry but I don't have time to play anymore, I'm going to fight seriously, get ready. At that moment Issei and Tatsumi would arrive together with Zeldris. Issei. You need help. Meliodas. That wouldn't be bad. Elion. You make me know who you are. Zeldris. It's none of your business, but you'll know. Tatsumi. Bellion of the 6 Black Knights, prepare yourself because you will face the 4 of us. At that Issei would take out the sword Ascalon Dragon Slayer and Tatsumi would take out his Tiguing Curcio and Zeldris would take out his sword and the 4 would get into a fighting stance. Meanwhile, with the others, just like in the original story, Solid would gather the energy of the Arca to seal the demon Yandere. Back to the fight. Issei and Tatsumi together with Meliodas and Zeldris were fighting against Bellion and everyone would be equal. In this Meliodas would throw Bellion at maximum speed so that he would crash and grab some rocks. Bellion. Damn them, die. And that the boys would dodge the rocks that Bellion would have thrown. Then Issei would launch a dragon shoot at Bellion which would hit him squarely. Bellion. Whoever you are, die. That's when Tatsumi would appear, blocking Bellion. Tatsumi. I don't think so, stupid, now. At that point, Zeldris would appear and send Bellion flying again, grabbing a large rock. Bellion. No matter how many of you attack me, you are scum. And that Meliodas and Zeldris would split the rock in half and then Bellion would appear from behind. Issei Tatsumi. Behind you. Bellion. Now die. At that point, Meliodas and Zeldris would activate their demonic marks and then both grab Bellion's sword. Serious Meliodas Zeldris. Your game is over Bellion. Then both of them break the sword. Bellion scared. I can't believe it, you are the traitorous demon and his brother, Meliodas and Zeldris. And that Meliodas and Zeldris would hit Bellion in the stomach, Magus, and then he would shoot out, and then Tatsumi would kick him, raising him, and then Issei would hit him, sending him to where Zeldris is, and he would hit him, sending him down, and then Meliodas would give him a big punch in the stomach, making him spit blood, and then he would be lifted up to the sky. From Bellion's body blue rays would be coming out for this later to say. Bellion. Damn, I'll send them to hell, fatal shot. At that the attack would be directed towards the boys, but at that Meliodas would scream. Meliodas. Counterattack. In order for the Bellion attack to be given, it is making a great explosion of energy. Bellion. Ah, they may destroy my body, but my soul will live on in the heart of Yandere. Thus, Bellion's soul would go to where the demon Yandere is. Meliodas Zeldris Issei Tatsumi. No shit. Meanwhile with the others. Solid. This time you won't escape. And that Solid would cast a seal to seal the demon Yandere, but it would fail as in the original story. Became. What the heck? Kurum. They weren't supposed to seal it. Xenovia. It seems like something altered the seal or something. Solid. It can't be the power of the Arca wasn't enough. At that point a demon Yandere would begin to move rapidly. Solid. Damn, the monster is going towards the tower. At that moment the demon Yandere would be running quickly while everyone followed him. Diane. Stop. Kurum. We have to go faster. At that Wave with his grand chariot armor activated would grab Kurum in his arms. Wave. Hold on Kurum, I'll go as fast as I can. Kurum. It's okay love. So Wave would start running faster. Became. We have to go faster, my speed increased thanks to my hidden ability, but I still need more speed. Then Esdith would arrive on an icy road. Esdith. Upload Akame. At that Akame would climb onto Esdith's ice path. Tatsumi. I have to go faster. At that Tatsumi would scream. Tatsumi. Incursion. So Tatsumi would activate his armor and then start running faster. Xenovia. We won't get there flying Issei-kun, we have to go faster. Issei. Then I'll take care of it. At that Issei would scream. Issei. Balance breaker. Dreg. Welsh dragon balance breaker. At that Issei would have activated his balance breaker and grab Xenovia. Issei. Hold on love. Xenovia. It's okay. Issei. Mode change Welsh Sonic Boss Knight. At that Issei would have activated the Welsh Sonic Boss Knight. Dreg. Change Solid Sonic. So Issei would start running at full speed. And just like in the original story, Hawk's mother would leave the demon Yandere very hurt. Meliodas. Thanks Hawk's mom, it's our only chance. Solid, are you ready? Solid. Of course. At that Solid would turn around to see all his people. Solid. Please, this time I ask you to give me all your energy, that our power may be one. All. Let our power be one, Arca. So Solid would then begin to gather energy quickly. Zeldris. It's incredible they're doing it again. Issei. This looks amazing. That's when Elizabeth, Elaine, and Gelda would approach. Elizabeth, Elaine, Gelda. We will help you too. Elliot. Thanks girls. Elizabeth, Elaine, Gelda. Arc. So Solid would get enough energy. Solid. That's it, holy sword that lights the way, seal that lost soul and dispel the darkness. At that Solid would throw the seal to the demon Yandere and he would not be able to move. Meliodas. There it is, before they seal it, let's finish it using our power together. Issei. Well done Tatsumi. Tatsumi. I'm always ready. At that, both of them would scream very loudly. Issei. Balance breaker. Thus Issei would activate the Cardinal Crimson promotion. Tatsumi. Incursio. Thus Tatsumi would activate his evolved raid armor. Issei. Very well, now let's launch our best attacks. All. Understood. At that point everyone would launch their best attacks. Issei. Crimson boost. Dreg. Thunder blaster booster. Thus Issei would launch his strongest attack. Tatsumi. Golden glow. Zeldris. Ominous nebula. Wave. Deadly burst. Kurum. Death's doom court. Became. Great Murisome poison. Xenovia. Big blue gash. Esdith. Final ice beam. In that case, the attacks would be going in the direction of the demon Yandere. Meliodas. Well, it's our turn, deadly sins. Author's note. Watch this video at minute 741 end of note. At that point Meliodas would launch the combined attack of everyone and this would finish off the demon Yandere. So everyone would be happy to see that it's all over. Meliodas. You did well Solid. Zeldris. It's true, you did it. Solid. We actually did it together. On that. Elizabeth. Meliodas Sama. Elliot. Solid. Gelda. Zeldris. So both would hug their respective partner tightly. Issei. We did it. Tatsumi. Yes, we did it. Wave. Yeez, we won. At that point, the three would deactivate their armor and then all three would be hugged by their respective wives. Issei. Xenovia, that shield is still fine. Xenovia. Don't worry, love, nothing bad happened to the baby. Became. It's true, the three of us are fine. Kurum. And also the baby's inside us. Tatsumi. For a moment I was scared. Wave. You don't even need to say it. Merlin. I told you that shield was very strong. A few hours later. Everyone would be saying goodbye to Solid. Master Soria. Thank you very much for your help, Deadly Sins. Without you, we would not have been able to end this threat. Meliodas. Don't worry, we love to help. And. If you want to thank someone, let it be Solid. Solid. But I only looked for the Great White. Issei. Yes, but your bravery and courage to save your people is what drove you to do what you did. Old woman. He's right, if it weren't for Solid breaking the rules, we would never have met the 7 deadly sins. Maestro Soria. Son, you showed bravery, courage and valor to do what you did and I'm very proud of you. Your mother would be too. Solid, thank you father. Elliot. There will be a banquet to celebrate your victory, why don't you stay? Meliodas. A banquet, huh, that sounds incredible. Zeldris. Of course. King. Captain, Zeldris, we don't have time for that. Escanor. Tomorrow is King Bartra of Lion's birthday. Meliodas. It's true, that's exactly why we were looking for the celestial fish. Zeldris. It's true and we didn't find it. Solid. In fact, several celestial fish died from the attack of the demons. Then a dead blue fish would appear floating. Solid. Oh look, there's one. And that Meliodas and Zeldris would grab the celestial fish. Meliodas Zeldris. What good fishermen we are. Itsumi. Oh yes, you guys, of course. So everyone would fly away on hawks back to the Kingdom of Lions. Several hours later. Everyone would be in front of King Bartra. Meliodas. Sorry for the delay King Bartra, but here is the main dish sky fish pie, specialty of Meliodas and Zeldris. Zeldris. I hope you like it. King Bartra. Oh it looks delicious. At that King Bartra would try a bite and quickly fired a beam of energy towards Meliodas and Zeldris, destroying the door and the walls. Worried Elizabeth. Dad, please hold on, help is coming, hold on. Zeldris Chibi. Cough 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 I don't think he liked it, don't you think so, brother? Meliodas Chibi. Cough cough you think? Wave. I didn't know Zeldris could make that weird face. Issei. As some say, like father, like son. Itsumi. Don't even mention it. Hawk. Well, what can you do? This is a job for Hawk, captain of the Order of Leftovers. And that Hawk would bite the blue fish, but in doing so it would become one. Ball. Oh no. Hawk. Takes me a. After they helped King Bartra, everyone would return to the tavern. Time skipped 3 years later. Many things happened and now everyone had started their families and everyone was happy and also after a year Esdid would have married Tatsumi as she had said and also Issei and Xenovia's baby would be born which would end up being a girl and he and Xenovia would name their president Rias in the oven, Tatsumi and Akame's baby would also be born and it would also end up being a girl and they would name her Misuki. Wave and Kuram's baby would also be born and it would also be a girl and they named her Alice. On the other hand Meliodas and Ban would have had their children with Elizabeth and Elaine. Meliodas would name his Tristan and Ban would name his Lancelot. Current events. We can see everyone having a picnic and everyone would be celebrating that the new business called the Wild Boar Jar would have improved a lot thanks to Ban, Tatsumi and Akame's good cooking skills. And that everyone would be eating happily and when they finished eating. Ban. Hey captain, how about a friendly duel against me? Meliodas. Sate you want to lose again like 2 years ago in Basel. Ban. No this time I will win and tell me you accept. Meliodas. I gladly accept. Zeldris. Hey Ban, you're not the only one who wants to beat my brother, I want to face him too. Meliodas. What about you two against me, what do you say you're into? Ban Zeldris. We're in. At that, the three would go to their positions while Elizabeth, Elaine, and Gelda had some anime-style sweat drops coming out. Tatsumi. Hey Issei, what do you think about having a friendly duel against me? Wave. Hey Tatsumi, that's not fair. I want to fight Issei. Issei. What if you two face me? Tatsumi Wave. It's okay to give it to him. At that the three would take their positions. While Xenovia, Akame, Kuram, and Esdid were dripping with anime-style sweat. Xenovia. Haha this is funny to see, but I'm sure my Issei-kun is going to win. Akame. No, I'm saying that my dear Tatsumi is going to beat Issei. Kuram. And my dear Wave will also win. In that, King would be the referee of the duels. King. Well they are ready. Meliodas bans Eldris Issei Tatsumi Wave. We are ready. At that the boys would get into a combat stance. Rias. Come on dad, you can win. Misuki Alice. Listen, don't get excited, our parents will be the ones who will beat your father. Rias. We'll see about that. Xenovia. He even our daughters. Akame. They are just like us. Kuram. You're absolutely right, sister. Esdith. Well, I asked if the son or daughter she expected was not the same as her daughters. Author's note. Esdith is 5 months pregnant, end of note. Tristan. Come on dad, show that you're not just a pervert. Lancelot. I think my father is going to beat yours, Tristan, you'll see. Tristan. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. At that Issei would scream. Issei. Balance breaker. Dreg. Welsh dragon balance breaker. So Issei would activate his balance breaker. And then Tatsumi would scream. Tatsumi. Incursio. Thus Tatsumi would activate his raid armor. At that Wave would scream. Wave. Grand Chariot. Thus Wave would activate his Grand Chariot armor. Meanwhile Meliodas would take out his sacred treasure and Ban would also do the same and Zeldris would take out his sword. King. Well done. At that point the three would prepare to attack. King. And. At that King and everyone would scream. Everyone. Fight. Meliodas Zeldris Ban Issei Tatsumi Wave. Ah. So everyone would bump their fists like Goku and Vegeta. Issei narrates. And that's how I live a new life and in my world everyone is happy and I will continue here with my wife and daughter and my friends who are now my family because I am Hyoto Issei, the bearer of the Red Emperor Dragon. And this was my adventure. Normal narration. And caller in Colorado this fanfic is over. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.